Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 192. Thank you for joining us. Happy New Year to you and yours out there. Hope it was fun. Hope it was safe. All that good stuff. But, of course, we are bringing in the new year right on this show, and we're doing it pretty much tradition now, as we bring in every new year on this Power Hour podcast. We have making his, fourth appearance? I think it's fourth. I think he's first place now.
I think so, yeah.
We have our buddy Dan. You know him as Bladeblur, and he is with us tonight. Dan, how you doing, bud?
A B. Jim, a B.
Uh-oh.
I've been waiting so many months to say this. A B of all ranks you could give Sonic 3 and Knuckles, one of the best games ever made. I'm doing pretty well, by the way. How are you today?
I'm sorry I have to play a game 5 times before it's good. I'm sorry I don't want to just pick it up and enjoy it. Oh, man.
Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, so same thing for Star Fox 64, you mean?
That was a joy from the start, I will have you know. It is delightful.
Sure you love that submarine too, I bet?
Okay, the submarine mission's a little rough. There's always...
There you go.
There's a little dark spot.
Yeah, I have my barrel, you have the submarine, so that kind of equalizes things.
True. I don't even know how the fuck I figured out that barrel as a kid. I think I just kept, smashing the controller until something worked.
Okay, but in all seriousness, thank you for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure. 4th time. It's always fun to do this, so thank you for having me.
Of course.
No, man, we love it. Like Jim said, it is tradition at this point. We love always doing our recaps of the games of the previous year, and who better than you, because most years Jim and I never played it. I think this is the first year we actually can have some opinions on the games as well. So
that's good, yeah, because
this
is actually opposite for me. I actually didn't have a lot of time to play all the stuff, funny enough,
Yeah.
so you can maybe fill in the blanks for me a little bit, which is good, because I've been busy with life, so we
Blah,
can work
blah,
together.
blah, excuses, blah, blah.
But it's my skill. I'm so good at making excuses.
But before we jump into anything, Blade, where can everybody find you?
So, I think the best place probably to find me is Twitter. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of things have changed on Twitter in 2022. I don't want to talk about that crap. Usually, honestly, every social media platform, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, it'll be Bladeblur. I stream on Twitch. That's kind of what I like to do. Usually, I use Twitch as a platform to tackle a lot of my backlog, and I have a lot of video games on my backlog, so I've been using Twitch as a tool to cut away through it, and I've been doing a pretty decent. I could talk about what I've been playing through 2022 a little bit later, but that's kind of what I've been doing. And hopefully, I've been working a little bit during my holiday break on some YouTube material, so hopefully in 2023 there's actually going to be new Bladeblur content.
Hey, you had one video in 2022? You had one?
Yeah, which was the top 10 games of 2021, and that was in July.
Topical. Very topical.
I know. Look forward to the top 10 games of 2022 in October of 2023.
It's all right. You got to let.
Hopefully it'll be a little bit earlier, but the goal is that I don't want to just do that. There is more stuff I'm cooking, you can say, and hopefully I didn't leave the oven running because I don't want my stew to be boil over and spill. But that's the idea so far. So yeah, just Twitter, Bladeblur, YouTube, Bladeblur, Bladeblur. Blah. That's the short answer.
Now, we got the links below, but Blade, we know you're not a drinker, but what are you having with us tonight? Do you have anything special? Because I know you tricked me beforehand, you son of a bitch.
I mean, I'm kind of a trick. I mean, if you have on your bingo card at home that I have water, congratulations, you can mark it off your bingo card.
I should be drinking water today. We're recording this on the 1st, starting off the new year right away, and yeah, I brought mine in hungover. So talking about traditions, I'm 36 and still doing this.
Jim, how many of these power
Same
hours have we done where you're hurting?
Too many. The answer is too many.
Jim, did it made you ever think, should we keep doing it on Mondays?
There's something to be said because normally when we record, actually we have a little bit of an update for our schedule going forward for this year. So yes, normally we record on Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays, and we normally get it out on Wednesday or Thursday. This year we're going to record earlier in the week, but try to just have a set day of Friday to release. Because, the last one did well on a Friday release. They're like, hey, let's keep trying that. So, Yeah, no real fancy reason beyond that.
It's that, and it's also, like Jim said, on the random times, whether it be a guest or one of us have shit going on, if we record later in a week, then it's not like all of a sudden we're throwing off from Wednesdays to a Thursday. It can just always be a Friday. Unless, of course, for some reason we don't record at all, which I gotta say, last year I think we only did maybe 2 times.
We only missed 2 or 3, something like that.
Yeah, and the one I missed, Nick stepped in for, so
yep.
that was pretty sweet. But Chambers, what are you starting off the new year with? What are you drinking?
So, actually, it's the first beer I've had of the new year because I did not drink all day until this point. So, I'm probably going to completely destroy the pronunciation for this. But the Boreal Roos? Boreal Roos? It's basically an amber ale. Looks like it's French. And let's see here. Yeah, it's all over from France. So my neighbor got this for me, actually. So I don't know where the hell they got it from. But, yeah, they gave it to me as part of a Christmas gift. So I was like, ooh, thank you. But yeah, this is
Italy.
This is a nice, very amberish, but very dark. Once you pop open the bottle, like, you get that malt flavor right in your aroma, right in the nose. So it's pretty good. And then it's a solid drinker. Not a lot of lacing on the glass. It's pretty damn tasty.
Nice. Yeah, so I am going with the North Coast Brewing Company's Old Rasputin Russian Imperial Stout, which comes in at, what had it here, 9%. So Russian Imperial Stouts are my favorite beer type. They are just basically double your usual stout. They tend to be obviously dark like most stouts, heavy on coffee, heavy on chocolate flavor, kind of boozy at times, and this one is no different. If anything, it's actually a little light than most Russian Imperials I drink. So, yeah, if you like this style, it's not bad to try. I'll see how I feel at the bottom of this one.
Right, you have to suck off the bottle when you're done like the Romanovs did.
God damn it.
History.
God. Don't act like you know any history. Just because you watch YouTube about some history topics, don't act like you retain anything.
It's better than me. I was thinking of Don Bluth right now.
Son of a bitch. But Blade.
I was thinking of Rasputin dancing with a bunch of like caterpillars and stuff. So.
That movie's a masterpiece.
Blade,
it is
we know
a movie
you don't
that
drink,
exists.
but we know you play games. So, first of all, congrats. You hit over 50 in the level 50 club. And once again, we want to say huge thank you to everyone. I updated the list today. It's done from 2022. It was a lot of fun. We said it a few times already, but congrats to everyone who got it all done there. But Blade, what have you been playing this past week?
Boy, well, first of all, I kind of want to address the challenge as a whole, because I remember I was taking, the challenge exactly on this podcast it wasn't to the day last year, but it was January last year when I officially said it. And when I first said yes, I'm like, oh God, what am I getting myself into? Because I thought it will be like practically impossible to do this, but then I said to myself, let's just think of a bunch of games that maybe I want to cut through my backlog, and then as I mentioned earlier, I'll use Twitch as an excuse to do it. And a lot of the stuff that I played for the challenge were games that I actually never played before. A good example is that I played through entirety of like the Mega Man X series. I never played those games before. I played one when I was younger, but I finished it like in 1998, so I think that qualifies. It's been forever since I played it, so it's still kind of like newish in my brain. And some other stuff, like I haven't played like Ape Escape, for example, or some of the Kirby stuff. Right now, as what I'm playing currently is I'm trying to like tackle some of the stuff I have not finished for 2022. My main thing right now I'm trying to finish is Bayonetta 3. I'm a fan of Bayonetta 1 and 2, but I will say right now that 3 doesn't captivate me in the same way, and I can't really exactly explain why. There's this element, this je ne sais quoi, the thing I cannot really explain. Something just doesn't mesh well, but I'll finish it. It's just something is missing. That and
it's the wrong British voice.
Yep, that's what it is.
Hello, I gotta kill this monster. Crikey.
Flock off, face. I cannot do accent justice. I mean, yeah, that's also like a dark cloud that was kind of like hovering around the game. especially like a week before release. That was pretty poorly timed.
Great, easy
but-
podcast content.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. And the other thing is that obviously one of the biggest games that came out last year is Elden Ring, and I kind of thought to myself that before I play Elden Ring, I kind of wanted to have more experience with the Souls games in general, so one of the games I did finish for the challenge was Demon's Souls. I played the PS5 remake, which is excellent, but I thought now would be a good time to do Dark Souls, so right now I'm kind of going through Dark Souls for the very first time, and that game is also very justifyingly as good as everyone says it is.
Yeah, I've never touched any of the Dark Souls, like, proper games. So, like, just to jump into my thing quick, like, I'm back into playing Elden Ring, so this is really the first FromSoft Souls game that I've been playing, so.
Right. Yeah, I kind of decided to do
again?
the...
Yes, I have. I'm kind of buying things gonna be stuff I've been playing already, so I jump back into Elden Ring, and I'm playing through more of Shadow to get the goddamn endings, so it's a delight. But yeah, Blade, back to your point. Like, yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's just, walking around, all of a sudden turn the wrong corner, and even like a common enemy can just kick your ass in like 4 hits, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
dead.
exactly.
Fun.
Elden Ring has the benefit, at least you can go to different locations, to at least fight a different group of enemies that might be a little bit easier to level up. But in the linear FromSoft stuff, you kind of have to, eventually get good to actually overcome a challenge. And that's kind of the reason why I'm not touching Elden Ring yet, because I kind of want to have Dark Souls under my belt before that. So I don't know, to me, like, going from Elder Scrolls to Dark Souls, sorry, Elden Ring to Dark Souls, it's so confusing with all those game names.
Yeah, right.
The scope decreases a little bit, because you're going from an open world to, like, a linear game. And in addition to that, I heard there were, like, so many improvements in terms of the gameplay with Elden Ring, so I don't want to play through Dark Souls and be like, this is good, but it's unlike Elden Ring. I don't want to have that going through my brain, so I kind of want to play Dark Souls and, like, have it, be its own game, and then I'm gonna play Elden Ring. And maybe if I like Elden Ring a lot, I'll go back and, like, play maybe Dark Souls 3 or something. So that's kind of, like, my goal right now.
Well, Blade, like we were talking about before we started, that would be like somebody playing Resident Evil 1 Remake and then going and playing the original Resident Evil after and being like, well, clearly this sucks. Like, you have to get the appreciation the other way. And as someone who did start with Dark Souls, I never finished it. I went to Bloodborne, thought it was 10 times better, just the way you played it.
Yeah.
And Dark Souls, like, yeah, I don't know, like, the grindiness, like, there's something about it just never grabbed me, and it made me kind of get bored of, like, I gotta stay in this area.
Yeah.
As you said, like, grind out enough XP to get da-da-da-da-da. Whereas Elden Ring, I may do the jump right to that, because I've heard, like, a lot of things I don't like about the Soul series are fixed in Elden Ring. So I respect it, though. Like, if you're willing to trudge through those games, I mean, some people, I mean, there's no going fast. You are trudging through your own corpse many a time.
Unless he's just a superior gamer.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, I beat Demon's Souls for the challenge. I mean, what did you do in that same, caliber for your level 50, huh?
Herbie fully loaded. That's what I did.
Okay, I'm backing out. Like, I cannot tell that. So
Cockhead. There you go.
No, I will say honestly though, Brian, after playing, a pretty decent chunk of like Dark Souls, like about 20 hours or so, I do like Bloodborne better because I like the pacing of it better.
Yeah.
I grew up with the 3D hack and slash games like Ninja Gaiden, Devil May Cry, the old school God of War. And I love the pacing of those games, and that's why I like Bloodborne better, because it allows you to bob and weave, when you have to deal with enemies, and then you can counter them. Demon's Souls or Dark Souls, both of them require a lot more patience, and it still works. I mean, I still enjoy the game, but man, I do appreciate the kinetic combat of Bloodborne or Sekiro for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I since last week, I did a little bit more Marvel's Midnight Suns, and I actually just finished watching 2 days ago that what the fuck is it called? The Knives Out movie, Glass Onion.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I really liked Knives Out. I
Me too.
I like that idea. You know what I realized? And it's funny it's taken me this long in my life to realize this. I'm a sucker for detective movies.
Yeah.
Like, I really like that shit. And every time I watch it, it really makes me want to play some kind of detective game. So I went back and played a game I beat 6 years ago, Her Story, which is a good, just fun detective style game. And one of the games I'm actually gonna start playing is on the list, so I'll save it. But yeah, that I actually beat that yesterday or the day before. So technically, I added it to my level 50 club. But yeah, no, it's just a solid game. Outside of that, though, haven't had much time between New Year's Eve and doing all the random shit. But I am looking forward to what we're gonna have coming out, because as we announced to everyone who joined the level 50 club, we love our challenges. Everyone asked us, what are we gonna do? So we made the announcement. We're doing 23 and 23, and the goal here is very simple. You have to play 23 new games. They can't be games you haven't played or Blade. You can't be a born-again virgin and play a game you beat back in the day and try again. You gotta play. It's gotta be a brand new experience. Doesn't mean the game has to be brand new. Just you've never played it. And when talking, Jim and I said, you know what? 23 we know is very beatable, but also let's throw in beer as well. And Blade, I know you're not a drinker, so really you could just have all the macros and probably beat this if you wanted to try it. But we want to throw in beers too, because Jim and I, we try a lot of beers. I don't know how many we probably tried in a given year, but for a lot of other folks, it's very easy to just get your 5 or 6 beers. And we want to throw it out there, see what games and what beers everyone's drinking this year. So that'll be the contest, and very similar to Level 50 Club, I'll have a ranking board up there. So if you want to join in, just like Level 50, just do hashtag 23 and 23. Who knows what else is going to get tagged along with that, so I'll do my best. But the easiest way to make sure you get on that leaderboard is at least just tagging Jim on Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, our Discord. Just jump in with us, and it doesn't matter when you start. We love seeing the participation.
That reminds me, I should start a channel for 23. So, and actually, yeah, good old Hibiki started already doing a level 50 for this year. So he already jumped in there. So if you want to do level 50 again, if you psychos out there want to beat 50 more games, have at it. Use the hashtag. Feel free. Have fun, because that's one you can do every year if you want.
I mean, we mentioned with the Level 50 Club, our buddy Lucas, so he rounded out the year by doing 150 games. So he tripled us. Wow. And that's the deal. I'll track it. If you want to do 20, if you want to do 50 again or 100, I'll track it. Like, I'll throw it on the list here. But, yeah, we're saying, like I said, the goal here is do 23 new games. So mad props for anyone who wants to keep going with the level 50, as Jim and I said. And Blade, I don't know if you felt the same way. As awesome as it was going through the backlog, there was a moment of, like, especially us creating it, like, fuck, I just gotta get through a game. Like, I almost forced myself to not dick around as much, and it, like, really made me go, let me be a little more picky towards the end of the year and not start a game that's 60 or 70 hours, because I need to get to 50 games.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's kind of why I did some of the longer stuff. I think the longest games I finished last year were, besides Demon's Souls, were the 2 Pokemon games that came out, with both Arceus and Pokemon Violet, and I think that's fair to say those games are not exactly games you can finish the main campaign in a course of like an hour.
Oh, no.
But the idea is, like you said, is that you kind of want to enjoy the game and not feel, you know, like, oh, I need to get to the end because I can have like a little like check mark that I've done something, instead of actually playing the game and enjoying it at your own pace, which, I mean, I get like the appeal sometimes to go fast as possible. That's why speedrunning is such a popular thing, but I'm the kind of person that I like to, like, you know, soak in as much of the atmosphere and like really immerse myself in an experience. I know immersion is like an overused word when it comes to game criticism nowadays, but it's true. I just like to enjoy my time, and sometimes it doesn't allow that, so maybe I'll cut my thing in half. I'm not gonna do 50, but I'll try at least to make at least a lot of my experiences new, and I actually have an idea how to make the challenge even more interesting for myself. if I may raise a
Go on.
suggestion.
Go on.
How about this? Like, I need to play games I haven't played before, right? Why not you choose maybe one game for me to play that I haven't played before? And I want to do a caveat. Don't give me a bad game. Don't give me like, you know, play a 50-cent bulletproof or something. Like, no, don't give me that. Like, I want you to like choose, like, say you have like your top 10, 20 games you're talking about the last podcast. Maybe one of those. Like, maybe something I need to like open my eyes and finally fill in a hole in my education. Like, Jim, for example, I never played Star Fox 64 ever properly. Maybe that's something I need to do.
Okay. No, you know, I actually like the idea, and we can obviously do it within the group. You can take, if you really want to take suggestions from 23 different people, or you could say, I'll take suggestions, like 5 of my suggestions will be from people, whatever it is. I like that idea, though. I'll gladly take a suggestion from you. And from
it kind of
Jim,
makes
like,
the, you know,
list.
yeah, because it makes the challenge more interesting in a way, because, you know, I get to hear, like, you know, what other people like, and maybe see if my taste somehow, like, you know, coincide with that. It'll do a little bit of add a new flavor to the challenge, I suppose. That's kind of what I was thinking of doing to make it unique.
It's a good idea. I like that.
I have those every once in, like, you know, 13 months.
13, son of a bitch. No, but Chambers.
Jim?
Oh, go on.
Go on.
I just wanted to damn it, Jim.
Damn it! I didn't do anything this time.
Oh,
Give
you
me
know what you
time. I'll
did.
find a way.
Jim, we want also 23 crusty corner stories out of you.
Oh,
It's
Jesus
Krusty Corner.
Christ.
Jim, create new crusty corner stories, actually.
Well, you need a jingle for that, too. It's Jim's Krusty Corner.
Boom. New contest. So
There
anyone
you
who
go.
listens to the show, you come up with a jingle for the Krusty Corner, and the winner will get a prize back
A
from
little
us.
lead in. We'll add it every time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be right after the Dead Bird of the Week.
So just so you know, right now, Blade, what you just sung is going to be the lead in from this point on. When we have to do crusty corner. But
Jim's Krusty Corner.
It does work.
Jim,
It does
Jim,
work.
here's the
It's
deal.
such a soft voice for like a terrible, terrible title.
That's why it works. It's so
I
good.
know.
Jim, are you going to have any stories after this coming weekend?
It remains to be seen because we are recording this on the 1st. We'll be going to Super MagFest this year. I think we mentioned it before,
Ooh.
but we paid for, you know, tickets are paid for, rooms booked, all that bullshit, so we will definitely be there. We'll be there Friday and Saturday. We all have to leave early on Sunday, but, you know, if you're around those 2 days, definitely, if you see us around, come say hi. Or shoot us a message and we'll try to meet up, all that bullshit.
Have fun for me, please.
Hopefully, Jim doesn't fall asleep or I don't lose him. You know, who knows?
I make no promises to either.
But Chambers, we did a lot of thanking this week, but we also got to thank our good buddy Zwick, who now is at our $5 tier. Zwick, I can only imagine what you're going to ask us to review.
He already
unless
sent it
you
in.
What is
Actually,
it?
Brian, it's something you'll be happy to hear about because it's horror. It's called Kudelka.
Ooh.
It's a PS1 game. I think what part of the series? Not Vandal Hearts. What fucking series are we trying to think of? It's like kind of part of it.
Oh,
How do you spell it?
Koudelka.
God, not Deception, is it?
It's
I don't know.
it's an expensive bastard. So I'm gonna have to do
It
some
is.
wheeling and dealing to get that. And it's not on the PlayStation Store either. So that's always fun. But no, we will get it and we will play it.
It's from Shadow Hearts.
That's what it is. Shadow
Hearts. There we go. Yeah.
So I've never. Okay, I'm obviously, you know, I'm game.
Yeah, what do you call it? I never heard of it either. He says apparently it's pretty good, but it's going to be picking up items is annoying because you basically have to like squat down with your ass and pick them
Stop.
up. You have to be like that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
But it's on the list, so it'll be out. That review will come at some point in 2023.
Yeah. We already have the backlog of a few games. We got Jim charging through his shadow.
Sure am.
Who
doesn't
knows? Maybe
get
it'll
better.
be more than a B.
It just gets. You know what? Out of spite, I'm going to fucking make it an A. I will spite you, sir. Jason Griffith's voice acting is perfect. Hey, Shadow.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
The game doesn't get better. You just play it more, and it gets worse. I've never had this happen before. It just gets worse and worse the more you play it.
Well,
You know what they
isn't
say,
that the case
the
of-
more the merrier.
I mean, Jim, I was going to say, isn't that the case since Sonic 3? Like, the more you play that, the worse it gets?
I mean, I'd have to agree. I mean, just tacked on bullshit to extend that game time, right? Huh? We all agree, especially Blade.
Blade hates it.
I have swords in my closets that need some ironing. I'm just saying,
like-
they're ready for.
My name is Blade for a reason.
Yeah. I'll make sure I make the cut.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Oh, you started.
You want to come to a pun fight, motherfucker?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I can't say naughty words on YouTube anymore. Oops, there goes my channel.
Oh yeah, right, demonetized. Whoops.
Ah, suckers. I never made any money to begin with. Come for it. I don't give a shit.
Come and get my $0.01 that I made.
That's
God
right.
damn right.
But,
Yeah.
but Zwick, once again, thank you. So, Chambers, what do we have from our awesome patrons this week?
Yes, patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question and we'll answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. So, first up from JD Mains. You get a lot of dismal, shitty game requests through Patreon. Parentheses, I try not to do that. What era or genre of games do you feel like you're missing out on as far as game reviews and would like to do more of?
Era, I'm not so worried about the era. Like, I would like, as I said to you before, I think PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Dreamcast, like that era has so many games that are. I think that's the best time of gaming. That's just my opinion. Not saying there's not shit, but I don't know. Most games surprise me how good they hold up this day and age. But genre. I would, and going back to Blade being a smart man like he is, I do want suggestions for game styles I don't do. Like we said, we don't do JRPGs. Now, that's a conscious decision because, one, it's a ton of time, but it's also, like, I don't know the right one to really start with, and I don't want to just jump into, like, a Chrono Trigger or whatever because I don't want to, like, be really disappointed. I want a game that truly could be, like, a gem that is a good, like, gateway drug into something like that. So there are genres I don't play nearly enough. So it would be nice to get something like that every once in a while. Like one game that really surprised me was Tiny Tank that Nick requested. I would have never played that before. That was fun. It was like different and something I would have never played otherwise. So
Yeah, I mean, I never even heard of it until he suggested it, so. But yeah, to go for, like, era, actually, back to your point, there's so much from, like, the GameCube and original Xbox that I just never got around to at the time. So that's, like, a big gaping hole in my, like, game knowledge for the most part. That's why I'm trying to play a lot of GameCube games for my resolution games this year, just to get more of them out of the way. So that would be cool. And, yeah, I mean, I guess JRPGs is my biggest gaping hole.
Jim, actually, you know what? I would say you're gaping. I mean, you have a lot of gaping holes, but I would say one of your big ones is also...
Sir!
As of late, it's been
And
hard.
demonetized.
It's been hard because you used to be Mr. You liked Resident Evil 2, but like I feel like you've fallen off the horror wagon so much, and you haven't played modern horror like at all. That I would like to see what your feelings are on some of the more like legit newer scary games.
Yeah, that is fair. I haven't played a lot of horror in ages, so yeah, that's something I could hit up. Modern horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a thing of like, what should I play though? Like, do I fucking do the meme shit like Slender, or like jump into like Resident Evil Village or something? I don't know.
I want to see you do things like even like layers of
Fear.
layers of fear,
Amnesia.
amnesia. Like I want to just see your reaction because I know you're a jumpy little bitch, as I put. So yeah, I would just like to see your feelings of those games. Alien Isolation, which is still the best Alien game out there. Like
I do want to
really
play
need
that. That's the game's gonna make me shit my pants, but I do want to play it.
Yeah.
To those listening to the audio version, Jim just winced.
I mean, Blade, you know us, you watch us. I mean, what's a genre you think we don't get to cover that much.
Wait, I can watch you guys?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, with a show called Drink a Beer, Play a Game, like, I don't think RPGs would usually align with that, like, you know,
Longer
moniker, I should say. So I think that's a very,
No, just get real
fair-
drunk during and go, fuck, this is boring. Glug, glug, glug.
Let me tell you about Final Fantasy. Tidus and Yuna were meant to be together.
I get real into it, real emotional.
Yeah, like,
It was so beautiful.
they were the perfect couple. No, but
There's
seriously,
20 people named Sid. I don't get it.
who's the real Sid? Yes.
Yes.
But I would say, like, when it comes to JRPGs, like, there's a lot of, like, good, like, entry-level ones that don't tuck down to the player but can still be very fun. Like, I would highly recommend something like the Paper Mario games. Like, I think those games are very, like, easy to get into without being, like, you know, overblown with, like, a lot of lore and a lot of, like, fluff that doesn't really add much to the experience. Or, heck, even something like the South Park games that came out, like, in the last decade, those are actually really good turn-based
I
RPGs.
love those. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I said Stick of Truth has been on my favorite list for many years, except this one, and I have the newer one.
Fractured Butthole.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just haven't dove into that, but yeah, those games are great.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where I'm going to, is that you play those games. They could be the gateway for something like Paper Mario, and Paper Mario could be the gateway for something like, say, Shadow Hearts, for example, a game that has, like, similar mechanics to Paper Mario. Like, say, there's, like, a giant ring that slowly closes in, and as the closest you are to the outline that they give you, the more damage you do, which is very similar to, like, Paper Mario or Stick of Truth. You know, when you press, you know, A or whatever button, you do more damage. So I would say, like, the best way to, like, tackle any kind of new genre is that start with, like, you know, like, not necessarily, like, simpler as, like, you know, surface level, like, you know, just, like, press one button to win, but, like, games that are
that's all
easier
of
to
them.
get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jim.
Damn it, Jim.
I mean, but here's the deal. No, I think you're hitting the nail on the head for why I don't want to jump right to Chrono Trigger. Some of these games
Yeah.
are regarded as the best because, one, if I go right to that, I might not appreciate it if I don't play some more mid-tier, like, kind of like you're doing with Dark Souls. You're working your way to Elden Ring so you can appreciate it better.
Yeah,
Versus going in reverse. So I like that idea.
Yeah, and I think that's, like, a smart way to tackle that. And I think also, regarding the 6th generation of consoles, which I would, you know, GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, and I think Dreamcast is, like, an honorary
put it in
member of
there.
that club. Sure, we
Yeah,
could say
for
that.
sure.
I think I would argue it's probably one of the best, if not the best, video game generation because of all, like, there's quantity and quality at the same time. Like, there's a lot of options, and it's crazy, like, how much came out. And I want to tackle some of those games that I missed, and a really good example is, like, during the past, you know, Game Awards, for example, FromSoft actually announced a brand new Armored Core game. And I never played any of the Armored Core games, and I think a lot of the FromSoft Souls fanatics also didn't play those games, so all the Armored Core games right now are going up in price, and by that I mean add, like, a 0 to the price, like, at the end of what it used to be, so it's like 3 digits worth now.
Yeah, it's insane
So,
how
like,
much
for-
expensive they are.
Yeah, like, for example, like, I just got this, it's not E-Rock Demoramba. Unfortunately, it's not, you know, backwards like the camera says. It's Armored Core, but I thought to myself, maybe this will be a good time to, like, you know, maybe try some of those games before the new one comes out. And the director of Elden Ring, like, Miyazaki-san, also worked, I think, on the series since the 4th game, I want to say. Yeah, actually, no, this was his first game, but he didn't direct it, technically. The point is that it'll be interesting to see the history of a franchise before where we are gonna be, you know, at that point in the future when it comes to the 6th game coming out. And there's a bunch of other stuff. Actually, FromSoft is a company I really want to explore their games. I mean, like, they also had, like, a traditional RPG too, for whatever reason that I don't know much about, with Evergrace. There's also a bunch of other games they have. Forever Kingdom was like a prequel to... Oh, speaking of horror games, since you guys love horror, FromSoft also had a horror franchise called Echo Knight, which I'm not sure if you heard about.
Is that PS1 game? That the
Yes.
kind of weird looking, like, corridor thing? Dungeon
Yes.
crawler kind of game? Yeah.
Yeah, which is really fascinating to me because each game in that series, like, there's 3 games. The second one ever came out in the US, but they all takes place in a different environment. Like, you know, in the first game it was kind of like, you know, a mansion, but then the PS2 one, the third one and beyond, actually takes place in space. Like, you're part of, like, you know, in a deserted, like, you know, in a space station, a part of the expedition that went horribly wrong. Huh. So I think, like, the whole idea, like, what Brian said earlier about, like, you know, try maybe, like, some of those, like, you know, modern horror games. Maybe also try, like, you know, those, like, PS2 era, like, you know, Japanese horror games as well, that maybe didn't get as much of, like, an attention, like, say, Silent Hill or Resident Evil.
Right.
Exactly.
And keep it within the games that aren't $300 now, because that's what they all goddamn are.
I didn't say Kuon. Kuon is like $1,000. I would never say that.
Oh, God. Nah,
Kuon,
no thanks.
Kuon is even more expensive than Rule of Rose. That's the crazy part.
Jesus.
I mean, not for nothing, I am quite happy I discovered a very reliable way to emulate now PS1 and PS2 games. So, yeah. That's what I'll be doing, probably for some of those.
You know, with prices like that, I mean, what can you do anymore? And there's no...
I won't spend that kind of money on it.
It's crazy. Like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a FromSoft, like, horror game. I mean, thanks, but no thanks.
Here's the reality. Sealed or not, definitely not sealed. I would not ever spend more than, let's say 150 if I'm being generous, on a CD-based game, because CDs so notoriously have such a shitty lifespan. Even if, like, you kept it great, like, it could have a little scratch, it could have this, like, they're not hardy enough to last. And unless it's strictly for collection, chances are you might be buying something that could be a little defective, or will be defective.
Especially if you buy it from, like, eBay, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Or like Shadow the Hedgehog.
That's kind of where I was going, Jim.
Well, that's evergreen. That's always going to work no matter what. All discs are going to be corroded.
Second disc.
Shadow the Hedgehog is going to stand
disc
up
already.
I mean, Jim, the good news is you went with GameCube, so it's half the disc, so it's half the price, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. That's
Well, why not go for the whole series? Like, get the Xbox version and the PS2 version as well.
I have the
which
PS2. Jim, get the Xbox while you're at it. Come on.
Get the PS2 version because it's the only version that allows you to switch dialogue to Japanese.
There you go. I got the better version.
The more, the merrier.
I'm gonna be the king of Shadow.
Now, JD, though, great question.
Great
Liked
question.
It a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And last up from Burn Retinas, have you guys ever thought about reviewing game peripherals?
Yeah, I mean, Jim, you've done a couple of the, like, game... I forget what you call it.
Just hardware reviews, like, yeah.
Hardware reviews. So, yeah, Jim's already done that, especially, like, you did the biosensor for N64.
Yeah.
I have, like, some random stuff, but Jim has a lot of random gaming peripherals. The problem is, it is tough to... I think it's tougher to review those, because in general, most peripherals are usually very limited to the number of games you can do, so that shit can get mad expensive. Like, once you start racking up, like, if you need to get the right game with it, da-da-da. So, I would love to, but other than what Jim has and I have already, like we were talking about with pricing of shit, it would be so expensive to get some of this. Would I love a Robert the Robot? Of course. But am I willing to pay whatever it is, which I'm sure is too much? No.
Yeah, I do have some more goofy stuff that I do want to make reviews of. Like I said with last year, level 50 got in the way of me doing like any side content. But I do want to get back into that this year because I have a couple goofy ass things I want to talk about. Another problem with that too is like setting it all up and like getting all the B-roll shots and shit like that for, you know, a video that may or may not get watched at all. So it's just like, man, that was a lot of work for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jim, the good news I just found, speaking of Rob the Robot, you can get a 1985 NES test market box with Rob the Robot, all the stuff, for the low, low price of just under $3,500.
Oh, wow, Brian,
What
you can
a
suck
steal.
my balls.
Jim, but it comes with zappers. Come on. Zappers.
Zappers.
I have a perfect kidney to sell right here.
Yes, light
Now-
guns. The easiest thing in the world to record game footage for.
See, I would like to do shit like, if we had a legit like power glove that we knew worked, I would like to do like drunken long plays with a power glove. I think that would be pretty funny.
Yeah, speaking of crusty corners.
Damn it, Jim! Jim, you're not playing with...
Crusty corner.
The B button don't work no more.
Damn it. Jim, you're not playing with power.
Well,
You're
yes.
playing with sour.
Damn. It's...
I'm out of beer.
True.
I need more beer. God damn it.
Now, good question, Burn Retinas. Like I said, it's definitely not something out of the... But, like, Jim, he's the king of... I've even bought shit at Goodwill that I'm waiting to just give to him. It's a lot of those plug-and-play games. Like, the one is straight up a Darth Vader face controller that,
God.
you know, I don't even know what's on there. So, yeah. He has the patience to do that. Like, whereas me, like, I would play and just get a little giggle out of it. But...
I actually do. I fucking lost the footage for it. I recorded a lot of my plug and play footage years ago that I was going to make a video for. And then I lost all the footage somehow. So I got to redo all that. I have like 5 or 6 plug and plays. I do want to like do a little video on those.
You love your plug and plays.
Yep. Just give me a hole and I'll stick it in.
That's why it's gaping.
Yeah. Hey. Well, on that note, thanks everyone for the questions this week. And once again, if you want to ask a question to us for these great answers that we just gave, head on over to our Patreon. And of course, head on over to all of our socials. All the links are below, including the Reddit and the Discord, so you can join those communities and, talk to us whenever you want.
Yeah, no, truly appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the support and can't wait to get your questions in this year so we can actually answer them on the podcast.
Take care, everyone. But oh wait, no, we're still going.
Damn it.
All right, gents. So, Chambers, how did that French beer that you could not pronounce, how did it treat you?
It's good. It's kind of a bog standard amber ale, but it's really good, and it's like kind of just what I need right now, like an easy drinker. But it's still, a step above flavor-wise and mouthfeel what you would get from like a Coors Light. So, it's good shit.
That's a low bar to set. You can't just say
Okay,
Coors Light.
I'm not exactly talking it up there, but no, it's a very good amber ale.
All right, let's compare it to like Fat Tire. That's one of the better amber ales.
I like Fat Tire a little more, but this is still fine.
Okay. So yeah, this Old Rasputin, not my favorite.
Really?
It's not bad, but it's very light. Like I said, the thing that makes Russian Imperials good is usually they have a lot of the chocolate, coffee flavor. This one had more of a bitterness that you don't really find, and it didn't taste that boozy, and it was actually kind of light. Like it just left that like acrid kind of feeling in your mouth. So not my go-to. Never had anything from this brewery. No shame on them, but yeah. Now I switched over to finish off my winter lagers because I don't want to count these in my 23 and 23, but the Old Rasputin I can. So these are good. I only have 2 left anyway, so I want to bang through them. What'd you move on to, Chambers?
Okay, no, I didn't miss a thing. No, I moved on to a different. I always like to check the Patreon to make sure that they don't have late entries coming in. But
I thought you were trying out for Aerosmith. You don't want to miss a thing.
Dealing with a pun off tonight. What a wonderful assistance. What a wonderful way to bring in the year. But no, I have another one of these Ruse Malt ales, and then I'm just going to have a Miller Lite after that. So
in other words, when it comes to alcoholic drinks, you need more of them.
Jeff.
It's like getting sucker punched from like both directions at the same
Urge
time.
to kill. Why do I keep inviting this guy back? What have I done?
KO!
Jim, don't go crazy.
Okay, all right, enough. Moving on. We have on to the news.
So, Chambers, you put up a tweet here, and it comes to us from Mark DWYZ, and he's basically making the statement that there was a deranged game dev at Serlin, maker of Fantasy Strike, trademarks a common Japanese word, yomi, and proceeds to DMCA take down small indie games for Christmas without warning. The 2 games were Yomi Hustle and Yomi Domini, whatever. And he has a list of, like, basically the interactions from those developers, of those basically being like, what the hell, my game was pulled from Steam. And anyone who knows about Steam, that was right around the time of the beginning of the winter sale, which for, I'm sure, indie developers, like, that's huge because you get a huge volume of games. Like, I already bought 5 games over the winter sale. And what's fascinating about this is this guy, Mark, basically goes on and keeps talking, but he keeps updating and posting based on responses. And this guy, David Serling, who, as we said, he's maker of Fantasy Strike, which I never heard of that. Did either of you?
Nope.
Can't say I have.
He kind of is just taking the approach like it's just a legal thing. Like, you know, we did a trademark, so now we have to protect it. So you kind of have two sides of this where it's like he's saying he trademarked, so he has to do this. And then even the one of Yomi Hustle, and I don't have the names, I think it's Ominous Horizon Studios, basically said, or no, Ivy Sly basically said, hey, just so you know, us and David are actually on good terms. Please don't speak for me. Like, we fucked up. It was a legal issue. We fixed it. And this person, Mark, is kind of saying, like, well, this is a big, like, if you don't do what I tell you, you're going to get slapped. It's a very odd interaction. My bigger problem is I just mentioned the fact that I played Trek to Yomi, and Yomi is literally the Japanese word for the underworld, or in other cases, it can also be used to, like learn to read or something.
Yeah.
So it has a few connotations. That'd be fucking crazy. I told Jim, what would you think would happen if all of a sudden, like, Capcom said, we're going to trademark the word street, and any game afterwards that uses street, you can't use? That's so weird that could even happen. So I don't know. What are your guys' take on this?
I was actually about to do, like, the whole, like, well, actually, like, thing when it comes to the...
I saw the hand.
Actually, well...
No, but you are right. Yomi actually does mean read. It's the verb for read, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's such, like, you know, a common word. Which Trek to Yomi, that's also very interesting that they use that, because usually the word associated with darkness is Yami. Kind of like why, for example, speaking of, like, what Jim likes, Yu-Gi-Oh, Yami Yugi, Dark Yugi. So kind of interesting, you know, way that they chose to go with not Trek to Yami, but Trek to Yomi, even though that game is also kind of like a very dark game, like deliberately dark in its aesthetics. It's like, why would you, like, trademark a word, like, you know, like you said, the street, or I don't know, like, or even worse, like trademark the word a, like, you know, like a something.
Like, what if somebody trademarked Hades? Like, literally, that'd be the same here as if somebody trademarked Hades, so then the developer of Hades has the right of it. And the reason why they can't go after Trek to Yomi is the person who has this trademark, basically, if you use Yomi after, just like Yomi Hustle, and in this case, Yomi Damini or whatever, that's why they can't go after Trek to Yomi. They only can go after people who use it, kind of like Stone, Jim.
I was waiting for my turn because I was going to bitch about Stone Brewing again.
Yeah, but yeah, let me hear what your thoughts are, Chambers.
Because I was going to say, before you stole my thunder from me, Brian, our good old buddies at Stone Brewing have been doing this to small fucking breweries forever. Because anyone that uses the word stone in any way, they will send their legal team after, because they're a big ass fucking thing. And they're cocksuckers, and I hate them. So, but they do make a good beer, assholes. But, like, yeah, like, it's just such a shit thing to do. It's you know, it's copyright trolling. It's all that bullshit. I do like that Trek to Yomi got away with it because their sentence tree is different. So, hey, there's some grade school fucking English class for you to come in handy. But it's just so goddamn, like, I get it's an easy way to, like, you know, be the front runner and to get even some easy cash for people to shut up or to play nice or something like that. But I don't know, it's scummy shit.
But to me, it's funny, because when I was reading this article, I didn't know, like, anything about it until I read about it, and I think that a lot of people are in the same, like, you know, area as myself. They don't know anything about this, so, like, having ownership on a word wouldn't necessarily change anything, because most people still don't know anything about it, so what does that really accomplish?
And here's the deal. What's funny is the Serling, I'm just going to call it Serling, the company, they made a game called Yomi in, like, 2015. So it's like not a new thing he copied. Like, he did copyright it
Recently, yeah.
more recently. It's weird. This smart guy who's reporting on it, like I said, he's kind of, I think, skewing it a little hard because it does seem like whether they were influenced to do it or not, this Ivy Sly is kind of like, I appreciate everyone's concern, but like for real, like this isn't a big deal to us. Like we changed our name. Yes, it sucked. I don't know what the backstory is, but I decided to dig a little deeper, and I went on Serling's games on Steam. Oh my God, are they getting review bombed right now?
Oh, I bet they are.
Like all like this Fantasy Strike, which is basically a Street Fighter ripoff. It like now is sitting at mixed reviews, and it's funny. It's like the last 40 reviews have been overwhelmingly negative, and you just read them. My favorite one was someone wrote the word Yomi, but finished Yomi with mind. Yo, mind if I don't like this game anymore. Like people are using like nice little things like that. So I was like,
cute.
yeah, it's a very odd thing to do. It begs a question. I know legally you don't want to set a precedent that you have to fight for whatever your trademark is, but the public opinion, can that outweigh? And I don't know how big Serling is. Maybe they make a ton of money, but none of us have ever heard of them. Their games don't seem like notorious.
They're not household names, either way.
Is this kind of biting you in your own ass just as a dick move? Kind of like we said with Stone.
I mean, for now, it's the most fucking press he's ever gotten, so I guess there's something to be said for that. But I wish there was like a social blade for like Steam reviews, so you could see where they were until a certain point, and then like you can, because until you can see like the overwhelming like drop off, so you can actually get a good idea of how the game actually is before the controversy. But yeah, I mean, it's terrible optics, but he's getting more attention from it, so hey, mission accomplished, I guess.
Even bad publicity is publicity, yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one.
Brian, copyright drink.
For real. I mean, at this point, can you just copyright the word beer? Like the fuck? Like if you
Water
copyright...
Bladeblur 2023.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna copyright Blade. Blade, you can't use your channel name anymore.
Pay up,
The
bitch.
sweetest thing I've heard this year. Wait, this year just started.
Yeah.
Damn,
From
you're
now
not
on-
even a dad. You can't do the dad joke like that already.
Yeah.
Fuck.
From now on, you're gonna be Spoon Blur.
Spoon blur. Sport blur.
Is that like supposed to be like the tick or something? Spoon blur.
Oh, you son of a... Don't you be pulling those out.
God, I miss that show.
Damn it, Jim. It's not the critic.
I miss that as well. It was a golden era.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is it's one I do want to follow up on. It doesn't seem like this guy Serling is really willing to interact. Like he retweeted some things about it, but it seemed
Yeah,
like
I was checking his page. He hasn't directly addressed it at all. So he's just, like that Ivy guy, like defending him basically. He retweeted that.
Yeah, so we'll see if anything more interesting comes out. I just want to see, like Jim said, I'm gonna keep following that game and his thing. Like, how long does it take to fizzle out? Like the initial uproar of people being like, "That guy's bullshit," and then does it just all go away real fast?
It's the internet, and this started on December 22nd. So probably no one knows or cares by now. It's probably over.
Well, Jim, I mean,
It's 2000 and late, Brian.
Speaking of over, let's talk about your boy Yuji Naka.
Oh boy, close to the heart for poor Bladeblur over here. Sonic fans everywhere, and all like three Nights in the Dreams fans that are left.
We've been covering this for a while, but update as of December 27th that Yuji Naka have been
Formally indicted.
Yeah, so they were violating financial instruments and exchange law. So,
Oh, Brian, you asked a while ago too about like why, is nothing really happening if he's being technically arrested. Elvin Monk in Discord was telling us basically, like in Japan, like certain monetary crimes, like you don't really get arrested right away, or it's up to a certain limit for the amount of it. It's more just like a slap and arrest or a fine or something like that.
well, now that he is being, but
No.
like, is it still
Or just much
gonna be-
dishonor.
Damn it. Don't you dare. Unless you're going to say it in the right accent. You can't say that.
Dishonor.
Blade, now your accent. Blade.
I'm not gonna drag this further down. I can barely pull off a proper American accent. Don't even ask me to do anything else.
Really, the reason he doesn't want to say anything is here's a picture of him and Yuji Naka together.
God. I'll say this about the whole thing is that this is listen. The moral is, don't ever
Don't do insider trading.
No, don't work with Yuji Naka.
That too, but also don't ever idolize anyone ever, because they're never perfect. Ever.
Don't meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes, exactly, yeah. I mean, honestly, with Yuji Naka, the whole, whatchamacallit, warning that I got is that when he was very blatant about the whole, Michael Jackson involvement in Sonic 3, when he was like, oh yeah, he was there the whole time, and I'm like, were you supposed to just say that on a tweet, willy-nilly, and just, confirm it, just like that, without any kind of repercussions about it? That, to me, was, the red flag. That's there's probably some other things, behind the scenes, and I'm gonna pretend I'm ignorant, and I don't want to know anything. Just leave it alone, and then everything just starts crumbling, and even worse than, the sales numbers for Balan Blunder World.
Went down to $8 in 4 months. Woo boy!
Jim, buy it now, so eventually when it goes up, you can resell.
I'm gonna buy all of them for every system.
Also, it's the #1 game for being the perfect Mandela effect game, because it's actually Balan Wonderland, not Wonder World. Even though Wonder World rolls off better than Wonderland.
Yeah, you're right. I always call it Wonder World too.
Yeah, everyone calls it Wonder World. Yeah, but it's land.
Oh, I should buy every copy and put it on a shelf next to all the copies of Mighty No. 9 that I will accrue.
And Babylon's Fall.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, we've covered this for over the past couple months. We'll cover whatever the final outcome of the sentencing is.
It just keeps getting spicier. It's great. Thank you, Yuji. This is the
I'm
best
just gonna
content
say-
you've made in 30 years.
I want to point out that Sonic the Hedgehog was not just made by one guy, so thank
it
you
was.
now to Oshima for actually being a normal person and not being in controversies that I know of. Just stay that way.
You just cursed him, right?
Not really, because I'm the only one who can actually pronounce his name correctly. Oshima. It's Oshima, people. Sorry, that was my weeb coming out. Okay, I'll just... It's Naruto, not Naruto! Okay, stop.
To be fair, Yuji Naka did make Shadow the Hedgehog, so he deserves everything that comes to him.
You know
Damn.
what was the last Sonic game that he actually, quote-unquote, had a hand in after
Was
he
it
left?
Secret Rings or something?
Sonic 06.
How fitting. How fucking fitting.
When until you get to that game?
No, I will not. You lovely patrons.
Oh,
I never said any other word before that. I said lovely.
Jim, how do you really feel?
At least I already have a copy, so when it comes, I'm ready.
When it comes.
It's not an if, it's going to be a when, because I know it's a when. It's always a when.
Well,
It's no use.
speaking of when and if, and we knew this was coming, Blade, we talked about at the beginning of every year, we got to talk about games. And I know you like to wait till the middle of the year to really dive deep into your favorite games. But this year, we wanted to cover what are the 10 best video games of 2023 or 2022. I'm already on to next year. So we got the list, and as usual, we're just going to read through them, talk about have we played them, what are your thoughts, should they be on the list, and see what the thoughts are. So this
And actually,
one comes
before to cut you off real quick, this is the one I picked, the one coming from Digital Trends. There's a ton of top 10 lists from all different sites.
sure.
And they're all so goddamn different. But I was like, we can't go through 4 lists and then go through 40 games or shit like that. But if you want to have a cool little experiment for yourself, just look up top 10 games and click the first 5 articles, and they're all completely different lists.
I was going to say, there's only going to be 2 or 3, maybe 4 games that you know for sure you're going to see on every list, not counting the order. But yeah, this was an interesting one. So let's start off with number 10. Blade, you mentioned you're playing it right now. Bayonetta 3.
Yeah,
I mean, you said yourself, it's not tickling your fancy the same way as the other two.
Yeah, and before I go into that, I want to just address, like, how we handle, like, the top stuff. Like, I think we need to decrease, like, our games, because a lot of the times, like, you go from, like, the top 50 to 20 to 10, because we found out there's just a lot of stuff to talk about games sometimes, so...
Oh, yeah.
We definitely need to, like, condense. But we'll definitely give, like, some honorable mentions and, like, quick stuff afterwards.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
If we forget a game, like, we're just gonna let the people watching, we're sorry right now, but there's so much, like, time in the day to address absolutely everything, so...
Yep.
But let's start with Bayonetta. I mean, Bayonetta 1 was my Game of the Year in 2010, and that was very close with Mass Effect, like, Mass Effect 2, actually. Like, they were really, like, close, but Bayonetta 1 edged it. And then Bayonetta 2 was my favorite game of 2014. So I was thinking to myself that come 2022, I'm gonna have it happen with Bayonetta 3, and I can say it right now, it's not gonna be my Game of the Year. I think that now that after, like I was talking about earlier at the beginning of the podcast, I think my issue with Bayonetta 3 is that it's bloated. I think what Bayonetta 1 and 2 do very well, I should say, is that they condense the story and the gameplay to make the pacing go by faster. I think Bayonetta 3 has, like, its head stuck its butt sometimes, that they want to make the story a lot more important and dramatic than it actually is. Like, oh no, will Bayonetta save the multiverse? Oh no, like, and then she meets this, like, punk chick, Viola, and like, how does she deal with this dramatic... At the end of the day, it's Bayonetta. Like, the stories are kind of nonsense, like, way... Like, an excuse to, like, just have fun and, like, kick enemies' butt, and... I think by doing that, and also, like, making some questionable, like, gameplay decisions, like, you know how, like, in previous Bayonetta games, when you do, like, the climax actions, like, when she summons, like, demons from her hair, like, that, like, giant, climax. Like, wolf, or the butterfly chicks. I mean, it's called climax for a reason, I'm fully aware.
Damn it.
Alright, The reason is that this time you actually get to control those summons, so to say, like, as kaiju battles, like, have, like, this, like, giant monster you can control. But here's the kicker: when you summon a giant beast to the field and fight an enemy, Bayonetta is vulnerable because she has to, like, her, like, pole dancing in the meantime. So I'm focusing on one enemy, like, like, that I'm fighting with a kaiju, but then I also need to look at Bayonetta to make sure she's not damaged, and then I have to, like, escape, like, an enemy attack, and then I get hit. It feels a bit chaotic sometimes. It doesn't really lend itself well to the flow of battle, unlike, Bayonetta 2, which just basically made you, like, stronger for a few moments, and I think that was a bit better. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I love Pacific Rim. I like, giant kaiju fights and stuff like that, but it just wasn't really handled well in 3 overall, and that's kind of why it's my least favorite of the 3, but it's in no way, shape, or form a bad game, because it's still Bayonetta. Like, the combat is still really fun. It is really fun. It's just, I think that it's kind of an inverse of Devil May Cry, where I think, like, Bayonetta kind of went downhill. Devil May Cry 5, like, came out, like, in 2019, and really, like, skyrocketed that series upwards. So I think that when Devil May Cry needed to learn from Bayonetta, I think now Bayonetta has to learn from Devil May Cry.
I still need to play DMC5 too. I hear it's really good. Even people who don't like Devil May Cry tend to say DMC5 is good.
It might be the best of this series. It's between that or 3. Like, I cannot really decide because they're both excellent for different reasons. But 5 is phenomenal. Definitely. It's funny because when I made my top of 2019, I put Fire Emblem 3 Houses as my number 1. But now looking back at it, it probably would be DMC5 because I think it just perfected, the quick action hack and slash games genre to me. And I don't say it lightly, for the record, because I play a lot of them.
So all I'm hearing is basically you're saying is women aren't as good as men. Devil May Cry.
Exactly. I am sexist. Exactly.
Well, Brian, there are such simple truths. Do we even need to say it?
It's like, what is this Returnal game? Why am I playing as this chick? And why is she not in a bikini? Ew!
And why is she not stepping on me?
Damn it, Jim. Damn it. Jim, I know you and we haven't played this.
We have not. Shut up about it.
I mean, other than your girl, Helena or whatever, and how you're still mad about her picture.
Liar. Liar.
No, but it's a game. Here, the honest truth is, I've played a tiny bit of the original Bayonetta. I don't have a lot of experience. I love that genre, so it is one I'd probably try in the future, but not anytime soon.
Yeah, same here. I really haven't touched the Bayonetta franchise at all, so I do want to eventually play it, but yeah, I'm not in any hurry.
Yeah.
But Chambers, speaking of things we have touched and not talking about yourself, Vampire Survivors. And this is a game I saw the hype for, and I was kind of like, am I really going to like it? And then I played it on Game Pass, and I went, this is kind of stupid. It's like a walking simulator where you pick up powers. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I can't stop playing it. And then soon I did a collectathon, which I haven't done in games in forever, where I was like, I got to unlock everything. I got to see everything. I got to find everything. And I actually did the final collection on a stream. And since then, it's now available on your phones, which my poop breaks are now so much longer and my legs fall asleep because I'm leaning on them because I am playing this. And I'm already more than 75% through the unlocks, and I only downloaded it 4 days ago. So it is ultra addicting. Yes, it's very simple. Yes, I can't even call it a game. I don't know why it's so addicting, but it is the perfect mobile game. I think if it didn't switch to mobile, it wouldn't be, but Vampire Survivors is a game that it shouldn't be as fun as it is, and somehow it is. Because it's very mindless. Once you get to the evolved powers, especially if you have 6 going on, you don't even need to look at the screen. You just move around if you're trying to find anything else. But somehow it works. And yet, it would be very silly to not have it on anyone's top 10 list because just the impact. And anyone who's actually picked it up and played it, you can't deny there's a factor of all right, one more game. Well, let me play for a little bit longer. Something like that. So, it's doing something right. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it. What do you guys think?
I've already, waxed poetic about it enough. I play it every single goddamn day. It's on my phone. I play it every single goddamn day. So it's just that good. It just keeps bringing me back. It's so stupid. Why do I like to play it so much? And now I just build the same build every goddamn time so I can kill the red guy at the end, so I can get a few more golden eggs and shit like that to boost up my permanent stats for my characters too. It's almost sickening how much it just has its grips in me, but it's that good. It's that good.
Have you played at least 10 times?
Oh, I've played more than 10 times.
Just like Shadow the Hedgehog?
Oh!
Fuck! I should have seen that coming. God damn it!
Well, here's the deal, Jim. Here's my question, though. Is this a game that you'll collect everything, you'll finish it? Are you ever really going to pick it up again? There will come a burnout point, and then all of a sudden, it'll be kind of gone forever.
I am kind of at that burnout point, and actually, the iPhone version, which I've found out, there's a little glitch in there, where I guess spoiler if you want to skip 30 seconds ahead real fast, but yeah, eventually you can do a thing where you can get 2 artifacts after you beat a certain thing, where you can choose it to make your life either easier or harder. So you need to have both of them to finish off the goddamn list of unlocks. And I did both of them, but for one reason, the one didn't register, and now I can't go back to the thing to get it, because I've already beaten the place where you have to go. So I'm like, oh, I guess I'm never finishing out this goddamn unlock sheet. So that's great. Fun. Wonderful. Why even pick it up anymore? All that time wasted. Great. But then I still pick it up and do it.
What about you, Blade?
I haven't played it. I think a lot of the stuff I'm hearing about Vampire Survivor in general is just from hearsay from other channels that I watch, and apparently it's pretty much this year's big roguelike game,
Yeah.
2 years ago was Hades, last year was Loop Hero and Returnal, and this year it's Vampire Survivor. Yep. I'm not sure, do you actually control your character yourself, or is it automated?
You just control the movement, you don't control the attacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get weapons that they're either there are some weapons where the direction you're walking, there's these knives that where you're walking is where they go, whereas other ones are just, it's like a circle around you. Other ones automate it. So it is, I joke and I say it's a walking sim at the end of the day, where you just find the power-ups, and yeah, you might be trying to avoid some enemies early in the game, but there is a point where you're just in a circle with thousands of things around you that you're just killing at a constant rate.
Yeah, but I wasn't like gonna compare this to something like Dear Esther because it's a walking simulator. So.
Yeah, it's not quite as much walking as that. But no,
dude, just put it on your phone. It's free. Just put it on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. If it's free, and it doesn't really like take much resources out of your phone. Why not? Just
it doesn't. It does not kill your battery.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, probably less than Pokemon Go, anyway. So there you go.
Yeah, I can confirm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a game. Makes complete sense. It's gonna be on there.
It's a game.
It's a game. Jim and I, the hooks are in deep. But talking about a game that I knew would have to be on this list, that, you know what? I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Stray.
Brad does that a lot with games. He sees anything remotely cute and he goes, nope, shit, overhyped.
No, Jim. See, you just like you.
You need to play Astro's Playroom. That's what you need to do, motherfucker.
Like
Stop talking.
That's a wholesome game.
Goddamn right it is.
Just like Jim does terrible scores, he has terrible takes on things. It's not that I think that they're a terrible game. It's that I know that's not a game for me. Like, I can recognize, not saying Astros, I'm saying there's other games that it's not for me. Stray being one of them. And even in this article, they write up that, yes, what really pulled a lot of people in is it's the cat meme game. And basically, that it is more than this gimmick. Cool. But at the end of the day, like, it has nothing that makes me go, I'd really want to play that.
Yeah.
And Jim and I know haven't played it. Did you play it at all, Blade?
I didn't. Most of the stuff I watched, like, other streamers play it, and kind of like yourself, Brian, I'm just like, it looks nice, but there's no urgeness to actually want to go ahead and play it. Like, I think what's weird for me with Stray, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily overrated. I'm just kind of surprised of how much, like, accolades it's winning compared to, like, how 2022 as a whole was stacked with so many indie games, like, Neon White and Tunic and, what was the game? I think it's called Pentiment, or, I think there's one called Pentiment and Immortals, and there's a lot of stuff that came out, but all I'm seeing, like, in terms of, like, indies, it's just Stray, and I'm like, Stray is fine, but I'm just, like, wondering, like, where did that come from? Yeah. Like, I remember even when the game came out, like, the reviews were, like, 7s and 8s. Like, where's all the
It's the fucking cat. It's just because there's a cat. That's all it is. It's the internet and there's a kitty.
Yeah, and that's my like, I don't... It's one of those deals. The game, maybe it is fun. But
yeah.
I've also gotten to a point where it's like, I know I can't realistically play every game. And even though I've technically, like, the only cat I've ever had was my wife's cat, but like, I'm not against cats. I'm a dog person, but I'm like, it's not for me. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't need a platformer where you play as a cat. Like, I've played enough games where you're a small thing that you wouldn't be able to get to as usual humans and this and that. It just doesn't interest me. I can't help but feel like the meme aspect is what pushes this game more than anything else.
Right. And I'm willing to actually give it a chance and, like, properly play it sometime this year. Yeah. But I don't get the pedigree. That's the thing I'm just kind of confused about. And I hope that maybe after I play it, then I'm going to, the ball's going to drop and I'll be like, so that's what it is. So that's why people like it. Yeah. I just don't get it yet.
Yeah, it's possible. This is a game where I know Jim will play. I'm like, it's really charming.
It's possible. What if it is charming? I don't know. I haven't played it.
I mean, any game could be... Shadow could be charming.
No, it's not.
We'll see.
There's no charm.
Jim, we'll see how I review it.
No, there's no... You know, bro, you want to be a little shit dick and do the opposite just to piss me off, but you're going to play it and you're going to hate it.
I seriously
want
to see
one of those ones you can't even do it for the meme.
I seriously want to stream any one of you actually just stream, like, one path of Shadow the Hedgehog just to see your, like, live reactions to it.
I'm getting, in the Discord, I'm getting a lot of requests to do it. I'm like, I don't have a good enough computer to stream, so...
I mean, maybe that's my way of playing it. Maybe I'll stream it this week, and I'll stream it live so you can see my cold reaction, and then I'll dive deeper off camera and we'll do our full review. But yeah, Stray. There's a lot of games like that.
Oh yeah, Stray. I forgot what we were talking about.
I like
you could say we strayed away from the topic.
Just like with Vampire Survivors, yes, I think you can't mention 2022. I'm not shocked it's on this list. I don't know if it deserves to be. Like we said, I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's not a game I know I'll ever really go to.
And actually, to Blade's point, fucking speaking of Neon White, I never even heard of that game, and when I was looking through a bunch of different lists, I was like near the top or at the top of so many of them. So
yeah,
and I'm like, damn, I gotta check this thing out.
A lot of content creators I notice usually mention Neon White compared to like the big like websites and like publications. Like a lot of like YouTubers usually talk about Neon White, so it's really interesting that game is missing from quote unquote like the big boys.
Well, that's the thing. They got to have those games on there that will end up being 2022's hidden gems. And you do the face, and you got Neon White, and who knows what else. We'll see. But here's another game I didn't play at all. Marvel Snap. Did either of you play this?
Everyone I talk to who's played it absolutely loves it and talks it up. I have to,
same.
It's apparently like one of the best mobile games out there. I have to give it a shot. I do want to give it a shot.
How much different is this than the other Marvel card game that I introduced you to?
I have no idea. I haven't really looked into it.
I'm getting like Hearthstone vibe from it. Like that's what it looks to me. And I never played Hearthstone, so I don't know much about it.
Well, here's the deal. So Jim and I, what the hell was the name of that game?
Oh, fucking War of the Heroes or some shit. I forget what it was called.
So I introduced, one of the worst things I ever did was introduce Jim to this goddamn game. But it was a Marvel card game, and all of a sudden Jim got hooked, and soon enough he's like, yep, dropped a couple $100 on random boosters and this and that. And it's like, it is such, like, I feel like any card game is,
and now it's gone. All gone, poof.
It's all gone. So that's what I'm saying. Like, did this just take the spot of that as like the Marvel card game?
Maybe. I do want to give it a shot though and see. Apparently, it's really fair about giving you shit without having to fucking pay. So
yeah, the microtransactions I heard are pretty like minimal, which is really surprising for a mobile game.
Yeah, for real.
And Marvel, they do card games pretty damn well.
Yeah.
So
which is funny because I think this year kind of like marked like the year where I was kind of like done with the MCU as a whole. Like, I think I've been like MCU'd out, so I wasn't like seeking out like Marvel content, but it's good to hear there's like other stuff besides like the movies and TV shows like Snap or Midnight Suns that apparently are pretty decent.
I'm playing that now, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's one I think we'll all be willing to try. The next one. This list, it's interesting that this was here. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. So did either of you ever play the original Stanley Parable?
No, never did. I used to watch this one channel, like Aaron Signal, that like almost like talked about it nonstop in all of his videos, where like would do comparisons back to it and like video essay forums in like 2013. But no, I never played it myself.
Yeah, so I'm the same situation, and it was a game that I've seen videos on. I've never actually played. After reading this article, and it's a game I watch a video on, I go, that'd be a cool game to try. I forget about it. So I actually just went on a Steam sale and I bought it because I said, you know what, like, let me just see like what it is. I don't think you can even try to describe the story. After having watched videos, I know it's kind of nonsensical, and it's I don't even know what to call it. But I mean, is this a game either of you would play?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's a walking simulator with, very story heavy, and I'm just like, that's not my thing. Maybe it's something I should delve into for 23 or some shit, but yeah, I mean, I guess it is an actual like secret prequel. That's cool, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is why the fuck is a re-release on here? But they directly acknowledge that in their article, so
yeah. Blade, anything on this?
Yeah, I think the closest thing I can like compare like Stanley Parable to, like I didn't know about the new one, but I only have like very small experience like watching a friend of mine play it, and I think the best way for me to explain the story is like, imagine you're playing, that old like Looney Tunes cartoon like Duck Amuck, where there's like, Daffy Duck on like the white canvas, and there's like this like disembodied, like, animator that's like screwing up within the whole time, and he gets pissed,
Yep.
And then you find, like, at the very end, like, Bugs Bunny has been trolling him the whole time. It's kind of like that, essentially, like, when you have, like, the narrator guy, that just, like, you try to, like, essentially, like, follow the story, and, like, when you try to not follow what the narrator says, they get more and more annoyed, and then, like, the game kind of screws with you as well, too. Which I think is part of, like, the punchline of the joke. But I haven't really, like, delved into it to the point that I can, like, properly critique it, but apparently it's been, like, a very entertaining kind of, like, a comedic take on the walking simulator, which is probably more of my speed, because, honestly, I'm, like, more of, like, an arcadey kind of guy when I like my video games. I like, go on an adventure, or, like, get a high score. Not so much, like, just walk and, like, absorb story. Like, I need more. So if I have a walking simulator, at least give me one that, like, does something interesting with the gameplay or the writing that strays away. As for top 10 of 2022, sure, it worked for them. That seems to me like more of like a number 10 entry. It's like that.
That's the only thing that surprised me. Yeah,
that's like an off the cuff kind of, like, let's throw this in sort of, like, entry there, like, I'll probably even put, like, Bayonetta, like, over that, personally. But,
I think you're right. I think the placement, without playing Stray, I think the amount Strays even got mentioned. It's probably that and Vampire Survivor.
Vampire Survivor, yeah.
Over this, but this is why you got people like Jim who, like, want to be unique. Be like, I like Gold Dust. And
I was just about to say, these are probably, like, real artsy nerds who are just like, oh, I'm, gotta appreciate the Swords of Free Will, blah, 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 blah,
Look at me, I like Shadow the Hedgehog, me.
Yeah, Jim. Nerd.
It's my favorite game of all time. I play it 20 times.
Slander and libel.
Well, I think it's only reinforced by the number 5 entry, God of War Ragnarok, which is going to be on every person's list. I kind of feel like this is high on it without even playing it. And I'm saying this only based on playing the first game, how amazing it was. Everyone I've talked to has repeated, this is better than the first game. It was obviously the number 1 contender with Elden Ring. So to see it at number 5 on a list is already kind of like, okay, this clearly wasn't this guy's cup of tea. Once again, it's a Jim type. And I will be playing this. I don't know. I know Jim hasn't played either one, but Blade, did you play this at all?
Not yet, but it's definitely on my queue. It's just that I have, like, a specific, like, order for my queue, so I'll eventually get to it.
Okay.
I thought the 2018 game was fantastic. If only someone put that game in their top 20, I would really appreciate it.
I did.
I have to play it. I'm going to play the 2018 game this year. So, yeah.
Hey, it can be part of your 23.
It's not only a resolution game, it is a 23 and 23 game for me. So, because I've never touched it.
But Jim,
not only it's a resolution game, you can play it in 4K and 1080p.
Jim,
well, I can't do 4K because I have a 2011 TV. So
I'm gonna put one caveat, just to really piss you off.
What?
To add it to your 23 list, you got to do all the Valkyrie boss fights.
What? Why? Fuck you.
Because
I have Precious all the time. I'm doing Elden Ring. That's like 150 hours.
Because it is.
No.
I will debatably say the hardest boss fight I've ever had.
Oh, good.
The Valkyrie?
Wonderful.
Okay.
The final Valkyrie. Not the general. That final one was such a...
That was a challenge, yeah.
That was like, what the fuck? Like, I did on stream. I forget how many times it took me, but, like, that was, wow, hard. So...
It was. I have to give you, like, some credit, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of funny with God of War, because usually, like you said earlier, it's like toe-to-toe with Elden Ring, so 5 is not toe-to-toe.
No, it's not at all.
But it's okay. I mean, again, not everyone has to follow, the same template as, like, well, I'm making a top 10 games of the year list. I have to put God of War and Elden Ring in 1 and 2, because that's what everyone expects me to do. Like, I respect, some change in the order of stuff. That's why I'm saying it's unique to see it only at number 5, and, again, I love the original. I'll eventually get to Ragnarok, and kudos to Santa Monica for basically managing to pull this off, because, like, the hype levels was, like, off the charts, and I'm glad they managed to hit it off the park, essentially.
Oh, Bri, real quick, if you want a list that will actually piss you off, look up Jeff Gertzman's top 10 list. He used to be at Rooster Teeth. It is just all indie shit you've never heard of, and it's definitely, like, a look at me kind of list.
Giant
Yeah.
bomb.
Look how smart and different I am.
He's trying to purposely go out of his way to be like, I'm unique. Where
Jeff Gertzman as a whole. He's always been that way.
well, that's my point. Is like, is that one of those things where he's just trying to be unique? And well, I don't know who he is. Let me start by saying that.
Can I give you a quick summary?
Go on.
Please do.
Jeff Gertzman has been writing for GameSpot since essentially like the late 90s, and he's been on the website ever since like mid 2000s, when you probably heard about the Kane and Lynch controversy. Essentially, I'm not gonna go through that, but lower skull for Kane and Lynch caused him to basically not be at the website anymore, and then he founded Giant Bomb with another colleague of his from GameSpot, and just last year he actually left Giant Bomb, a website he founded, by the way, which is kind of crazy because of corporate involvement, to just kind of do his own thing, which now he can do his own thing. Good for him.
I just looked him up. I'm looking at his Twitter.
I mean, I met him in person. He's a nice guy. I just don't agree with a lot of his opinions, and it's okay to disagree with someone just because they're quote-unquote popular.
You can... yeah. It would make sense looking at his Twitter that without seeing his list, I agree, Jim. I would be pissed off as
You know, speaking of like GameSpot, I know I'm digressing, but I kind of want to touch on that. He was like one of the two like biggest like reviewers of that side of like the early 2000s. The other person ended up being Greg Casavin, and he actually became the head of Supergiant Games, who gave us Hades, for example. So,
Oh, really?
talk about like two different sides of the coin in a way.
No shit.
Yeah, he
So one
he
guy
worked
actually...
on like Bastion and Transistor Pyre, and now Hades and Hades 2 coming up. So, oh god, there's a Hades 2 coming out. Holy crap!
Oh yeah.
Can't wait. Can't fucking wait.
So we'll move on to number 4. Jim, it's another one I know you and I don't have any experience with.
Nope.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Blade.
It's the Weeb game! Yay!
Yes. Yes, it is.
That's kind of the problem with like all those JRPGs, is that I never played any of the Xenoblade games, but I'm like, this is the third game, and I know not every game has like, you know, I know it's like one continuity. I know each game has its own continuity, like Final Fantasy or like the Tales Off games, but I don't know, like in terms of like gameplay, I kind of feel weird going to number 3 without playing 1 and 2 first, maybe. So that's kind of like what, like, you know, made me not want to play it. But I think everyone else online, I see people just like, you know, they're like preaching and advocating for Xenoblade 3 being one of the best JRPGs in a long time. I'm talking like levels like Persona 5, like levels of admiration, which is crazy.
Yeah, here's the deal. I put this in the same category as I put Stray. I look at this game, I look at the style, it's just not for me. It's 0 to do. I may play it and say, wow, this is an amazing game. But I see it and I just go, yeah, that's something I'll never do. Like, there's so many franchises and series I'll never get into. And I already recognize it myself. Xenoblade is one of them. It's not for anything other than, like, I look at that style, I'm like, yeah, it's just not me. You know?
Racist. That's the problem.
Jim, I have a whole wall of basically Japanese-inspired gaming behind me. What are you talking about?
Name one. And no, Call of Duty does not count.
Super Mario Brothers. There you go.
That's made in Japan?
A few of them are.
but that's kind of like to further, like, you know, build on what we talked earlier, is that if you want to get into a genre like JRPGs, Xenoblade is probably not the best game to start, because that's really like, you know, the JRPG game for JRPG fans. Mm-hmm. It's not a JRPG game to introduce people who don't really like that genre to be. Not to say that it's bad, mind you. It's probably a very well-crafted game, just not the best first choice.
Yeah, and I hear it's like another 100-hour game, so it's like, no thanks.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, you know, when people ask you, like, you know, what anime should I watch? Like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure should never be the first anime you recommend to someone, because it's only for, like, big anime fans. That's kind of what I'm going
the
with.
answer is always Ninja Scroll.
Damn it, Jim. I've never watched a single anime in my life. Well, actually, would you count the Castlevania series on Netflix as anime?
I still need to watch it actually.
For you, yes, but in general, no.
My point is like, at what point, do you count what is anime, what isn't? Like, I don't know. But
I think country of origin is a big deal for me when it comes to anime, and Castlevania was not. I don't think a lot of it was made in Japan, to my knowledge. So that's probably the reason why. But I mean, again, when it comes to like anime, Cowboy Bebop is a very easy recommendation for those who don't like anime to watch. So
okay.
Or Cyberpunk, the new one that just came out, is also a good recommendation.
Gotcha.
The one on Netflix. Edge Runners, thank you, person in the comments that I was about to write that
down. so Blade, another one. I'm gonna say Jim and I know Jim hasn't played, but I know Jim, you're a little bit bigger fan.
I do want to play this. I do want to play this, and I do want to play this, and I've seen this on a ton of lists. So like everyone seems to love it who's played it.
So what I've read about this, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, Kirby is a franchise similar to the other things I said. It's just not for me. But this is the first open world Kirby game?
Yeah.
Wow. Hasn't like well that
and even then it's like more open zone than like open world.
I mean this is what the article
the article open zone because of Sonic Frontiers now, which cracks me up.
Yeah, but hey.
So the way this is worded is that this is Nintendo Series' first full foray into a 3D game of this scope.
Yes. That's correct. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Jim, I know you're into Kirby games, but Blade, did you actually play this game?
I like how you say, like, Jim, you're into Kirby games, and I know a lot of you cannot see the video, but he's like so down. It's like, yeah, Kirby's so great. Every time I play a Kirby game, a smile goes to my face.
Yeah. I think that's...
Where's my shadow? Please give me more Shadow the Hedgehog.
Don't.
It's funny because one of the games I actually have played during my challenge was actually the first 3 games in the Kirby Dream Land series. It started on the Game Boy, and then I moved on to the third one on the Super Nintendo. And I mean, I knew I wasn't a big Kirby fan, but it actually kind of like cemented the idea that I just am not that big into Kirby. Yeah. Which I know is, I think what I like in games is just a little like a smidge of challenge, and Kirby doesn't give me that challenge that I want sometimes because he has so many like abilities that everything else is just like, you know, easy peasy. It's why I like the final bosses in Kirby games, because they kind of strip down like Kirby's abilities to just like one, and the boss is actually challenging, and that's always to me been like a highlight in Kirby games so far. I'm really looking forward to trying out Forgotten Land. I played it just a smidge, and I liked what I played of it. I prefer a game like that, say, more so than Mario Odyssey, because I think it's more distilled in its game design. I like the idea of having, like, you know, set levels. I mean, you have, like, a world map, and you can choose your levels individually, essentially, and then you can explore them to your heart content, and there's still, like, you know, individual, like, platforming challenges within those levels. And it's not like, you know, Mario Odyssey, and I know people love Mario Odyssey, but it does have its fair share of problems, in all honesty, that doesn't reach, like, you know, the high caliber that some people rank it. I don't like the idea of, like, you know, oh, if you want a moon, go to this specific tile and butt stomp it, and then you get a moon. Yay! Like, I want to feel rewarded when I'm doing something in a game, and that's kind of like what I heard, like, you know, that Kirby doesn't do as much, because there's less stuff for you to collect, but it's more meaningful. And I hear from everyone it's like one of the favorite games that they enjoy doing 100% completion, which that says a lot, because not everyone has the time of day to do 100% completion. So.
Yeah.
I know.
Actually, I'm with you on Mario Odyssey. I never even finished it. I was like, oh, it's, you know, a prettier Mario 64. And I, you know, grew up loving Mario 64, but I was just like, I didn't feel compelled to, like, you know, finish it and do it all over again.
Or get maybe like 800 moons or whatever that they ask you to get.
Oh, especially that. But yeah, like, I didn't even finish the story. I should one day, but whatever.
That's why I like Mario Galaxy more, because I like, you know, the platforming challenges. I just like really saw like platforming level design. I think that Mario Odyssey is more of an open world game than a platforming game. I know it doesn't make sense, but that's my logic.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of digging around.
And back to Kirby, yeah, I'm looking forward to trying Kirby out. It's funny, my favorite Kirby games are always the ones that don't adhere to the main, like, design of Kirby. Epic Yarn is one of my favorite Kirby games, the one that came out on the Wii originally.
Yeah.
I thought that game is really fun. I love the Yarn aesthetic. I think it looks amazing. And Canvas Curse, the one on the DS where you get to, like, draw a trail for Kirby that's just like, him as a ball without having hands or legs. I think that's also a really good game. And it's funny, like, the Kirby games where you get less abilities are the ones I actually enjoy more, because it makes you more creative as a player to figure out how to solve problems without having, like, a limitless amount of tools. You only have a set amount of tools. And then when you solve something, you're like, I'm smart. I did this myself. Yay. Sort of thing.
Yeah, like, I do like Kirby games, but, like,
yeah,
I do like Kirby games, but I actually find myself still liking the original Dreamland more than a lot of the later ones. For, like you said, like, it's a lot simpler and more stripped down, but it just feels like a better game to play.
I agree. And, when I played the Dreamland trilogy, I know the first one only took me, like, about, 30, 40 minutes to finish, but of the three, the one that I kind of want to go back to most of is probably the first one, because it's very, like, no fluff, just straight to the point, and just kind of enjoyable to just pick up and play very quickly. And I don't have to worry about, like, oh, in World 2-4 of Dreamland 3, you have to make sure to grab this particular copy ability and do this as this particular item so you can get the perfect ending. And I'm like, I don't want to memorize all that. I just want to play a video game, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, that's not to say Kirby is bad. It's just that there's just this disconnect for me personally.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
People can complain about it, and they will, but I have to preface that. So
it's what people do. All right, so this list, as we said, was a little more unique, and coming in at number 2 is Immortality.
The fuck is this?
So I knew about this game, so it is funny. I did mention earlier.
Thank you.
Don't think it is the same people. I could be wrong, but it's very similar to that game Her Story I was mentioning.
Oh, okay.
Where basically you have to, instead of in Her Story, you're going through interrogation videos to figure out what happened with this murder. This one is kind of the same idea, except you're now going through production footage of 3 films that never came out. And I guess it doesn't say if it's a murder, but there's a mystery you're trying to solve. It seems like a much, much more fleshed out. I did see this mentioned all over the place. And I actually, after watching this list, I said, you know what? I'm so into the whole detective mystery thing. I just bought it, once again, on Steam sale. It was like $12 or something. So I was like, okay, I'll buy it. I have no experience with it. I feel like it's a game neither of you would play. But I don't know. What have you guys heard of it? Played it? What are your thoughts?
Heard of it, yes, but I wouldn't even necessarily say it's not a game for me. I think there's very few games that I would just downright say that are not for me. Usually if it's like a sports game, like a Madden or an MMO or a MOBA, those are usually the ones I tend to avoid at all costs. Most of the time I try to be as open-minded as I possibly can, and I don't know, like the idea of like going like through footage, I mean, it's kind of like what we do as content creators as well, so there is that kind of appeal there that it may speak to us in particular. And if it's been rated that highly, I mean, who are we to judge that person who really looks that game as highly as he is? So maybe it is worth it. I just don't really have much knowledge to really build upon.
Get it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does look cool, and I like the idea of whatever you click on, it's very non-linear storytelling. So yeah, it could be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's her. Like in Her Story, each clip was.
Which one?
Damn it! It was basically anywhere from like a 5-second clip to as much as a minute. But that was it. And you would basically, the only way you could search was with keywords. So I don't know. I guess it's going to be the same. But Jim, to your point, the non-linear, it's really, you're trying to figure out whatever this mystery is. And so you're going to keep revealing new clips that will reveal new clues, da-da-da-da-da. So here's the deal. If it is like Her Story, as much as I might have enjoyed it, this is where I go, should this have been a number 2 on a list? And it makes me once again say, there was a Jim writing this list. Somebody was like, I can't just put God of War at 2. So, all right. He knew, he's like, I got to put it at number 5. What can I fill in between to make me seem unique? Oh, let me put a goddamn Kirby game. Yeah, let me put Immortality. Let me put Xeno.
I expect like Pentiment or that, honestly, in that spot.
So it's kind of like, this is an odd list. Once again, I may play this and love this game.
I'm an odd person, so that fits me.
Whatever.
Perfect timing. Hey, it just works out. Weird.
It just happened. But
Odd.
this will be a game that's on my 23 and 23 because, like I said, I bought this. I bought the Stanley Parable. These are games I wanted to play anyway. So
Okay.
Yeah, let's see what comes out of it.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Yeah. But number 1 for both of you bastards, and it's gonna be on both your lists.
Wait, I know what this is. Is it...
Yes, it is Back for Blood.
Again?
Oh, that poor fucking game.
It's Pokemon Arceus.
Yeah. Good old Elden Ring. Which, Jim, of the list you were mentioning, I mean, was this number 1 in most of them?
It was number 1 in a lot of the lists that I looked at, yeah.
Yeah, which I assume, we saw from the Game Awards, it was pretty much a safe bet that this was going to be it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like past years of Game of the Year winners, and I think I haven't seen such a conclusive number 1 since maybe like
Witcher 3.
I don't know, even with The Witcher 3, I remember like some people were giving Metal Gear 5 that title, which I personally like Metal Gear 5 a lot more than Witcher 3, and yeah, I don't care.
Shut your whore
what you're
mouth.
gonna say to me. I don't care.
Shut that
I
whore
like
mouth.
Witcher 5.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't care.
Listen.
No, Witcher 3 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I just prefer MGS5. That's what I'm saying. But actually, Last of Us like the original Last of Us, I think that was like the game.
That was like
Like,
pretty
when-
much universal.
Like
Yeah.
everyone, like universally, like give it the end of the year. And here's the thing with
Skyrim,
Elden
maybe?
Ring. Elden Ring getting number 1 is really impressive, but it also had competition. That's the important thing to
No,
remember
yeah,
is that
it did.
2022 was not a slouch year. I think it was probably better than 2021 and even 2020, I would say. So the fact it won against such stacked competition is admirable, and good job on like FromSoft for like literally building up on everything they've learned from not even just like the Souls game to like everything in their like history to make Elden Ring, and of course taking cues from other open world stuff to really make a new vision of what open world gaming can be.
Yeah. I mean, you two, well, you haven't played it yet, Blur, but I mean, Jim, I know
Smidge,
you...
but not enough that I can really form an opinion.
Jim, at this point, I know you were previously 10 hours, so what are you now, maybe 15, 20 hours?
I'm at
into
20
it?
hours now, yeah.
So, I mean, I know it's tough to say, but like, are you just now driven like, I must beat this game, or are you fully like, I really enjoy it?
You know what? I do really enjoy it. And like they mentioned, you know what I like about it the most is it's the fucking exploration and just how you can do it. And like everything is interactive. Like you can interact with everything in some weird way. Like I just like the last time I played, I spent like an hour trying to like figure out. It's because a lot of it's like almost like a puzzle too. Because I spent an hour trying to figure out how to climb this one fucking random tower that had like no, like it didn't have a door like at the bottom or anything like that. So you're just like climbing on like the stone, vestibules and shit like that on the outside. And you like, there's parts where like you have to use your magic horse that can, magically double jump because, that's what happens. And like jump off a cliff to your death, but then double jump at the right time onto a tree branch so you can glide onto another thing. And just when you pull off like dumb shit like that and all the trial and error that just always seems to work, it's a weird experience. And like I said, I'd never played a FromSoft game before, so like I am getting my ass kicked by a lot. But it's also like it's such a sense of accomplishment when like you figure out a section or a boss and you finally fucking beat it and stuff like that too. So it like just combines like good open world with like amazing exploration with a super hard but like just satisfying challenge. So like I actually like when I'm not playing it, I'm like, man, I wish I was still downstairs playing. Like it's not just like because I want to beat it. Like I actually really do just want to keep playing
enjoy it.
Yeah.
From Software games, I
I
feel
will
like
say the worst part's probably the fucking story because it's just all fucking gibberish, and I don't care. But
Jim, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
is there any dialogue text you didn't just skip through?
no, I'm sitting through it all and shit like that. But I'm just like, man, could you have just like not written it like this? Like I didn't need like shitty Lord of the Rings read to me. Like just let me fucking fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way too with like stuff like Bloodborne. Like I love Bloodborne, but if you ask me to recite the lore, everything, I'd be like, monsters attack and you must go cutty cut.
Yeah, like Blasphemous like ripped. I mean, it completely ripped off the FromSoft formula just in a 2D Metroidvania format. But like
What? That's blasphemous.
bastard.
Jim, you set him up for it, you son of a bitch.
That's completely my fault. Completely my fault. But yeah, but like even like the dialogue in that, like I enjoyed listening to that. Whereas with Elden Ring, I'm just like, man, this is just like some guy was just jerking off to like a fucking a goddamn.
Jim,
Is it George R. R. Martin?
Yeah, he was jerking off during an episode of fucking what was the show?
of
I can't
Thrones.
remember it at this point. Game of Thrones. Yes, he just jerked off during Game of Thrones.
Don't ever say what was the name. Like, you can say that for obscure shows, but for probably the biggest show of the last decade, you can't say what was the name of that show.
To be fair, I never watched that show myself. So.
You don't have to watch it to know. I never really watched maybe 2 episodes of Seinfeld ever. Doesn't mean I don't know what Seinfeld is, or like some of the bigger episodes.
I'm 4 beers in, I blanked. I knew what the fuck the show was. Jesus Christ. Well, you didn't remember my dragon show. You don't know who Hodor is?
Jim,
God.
my point is...
You have a pair of dragon pants in fucking college, and all of a sudden anything dragon related, God forbid, I don't remember it right away.
I got all my Game of
because
Thrones knowledge from South Park, okay?
The problem with you, Jim, is you're the guy who would make this list where you got to go out of your way to be like, I'm unique. But at the end of the day, you pick the same shit as everybody else. But in between, you got to be like, I like Kirby as number 3. That is you. So, yeah.
Maybe it's a delight, Brian. Maybe it's just a fucking delight and fun to play.
Or
It's not.
maybe Kirby sucks.
That's right. That's right. Maybe that's why Shadow is going to be highly rated. I don't know. We'll see.
It's
not.
funny because Kirby sucks his enemies in.
I mean, that's why Jim likes Kirby. It's an allegory. Jim likes it.
It's related.
No, I mean, Elden Ring, let's put it this way. Elden Ring, at the end of the day, of course, it's going to be number 1 on the majority, if not all lists. I said that and God of War. They were the 2 juggernauts, if you will. But what I do like is this list did have honorable mentions. And
Yeah,
they
we can
mentioned
talk about that.
Neon White, we already mentioned. TMNT Shredder's Revenge.
Yes.
That was on
I
other
would
lists. That did
I
make
was
all the
gonna
lists.
say best beat 'em up of the year. Because
By far, I
how
don't-
many other beat 'em ups were there?
I mean, if I can think of anything that came out this year, beat 'em up wise. That
Yeah.
was...
River City Girls 2, Final Vendetta.
Oh
shit
yeah,
like
I
that.
forgot about River City and Vendetta. Actually, yeah. I was thinking of Paprium for a moment, but that was the year before, I believe.
Yeah.
But I mean, TMNT Shredder's Revenge is better than Streets of Rage 4. And
No.
it is.
No.
It is, especially on
No.
release. Until you get DLC, it's better. It's better.
No.
It's just better.
No.
It is.
No.
It is. It's undeniable.
It's got better
But-
music. That's what it's got.
Which is everything else is exactly the same.
I mean, the
except
fact
more
that it
characters
has a
and
better
music.
music. Yeah.
It's better. That is the argument, Jim. It's the
Then
same.
they use
game
a Koshiro
with better
game
music.
too.
So yes, it's better. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jim. You
Streets
just
of Rage
proved
4
it.
has better gameplay.
It's the
TMNT.
same exact gameplay. What are you talking about, dumbass?
Deeper,
it's literally,
deeper, better combo systems. Deeper.
Are you? This people.
Better enemy
This
variety.
is what we
Deeper.
talk about. This is what we talk about.
Sound off in the comments. Tell us what do you think.
Yeah.
Streets of Rage 4?
Oh yeah,
or
because
Shredder's
one of the
Revenge?
most popular IPs of all time is going to win out on this. Oh fucking!
Jim, you're just wrong.
It's a video game.
You can like
podcast.
Streets of Rage 4 better. That's fine to say I like it better. Don't say it's a better game. Say I know TMNT is better.
No.
I like
I'm
Streets of
actually
Rage
hearing
4
a
better.
bunch of people that did say that they like Streets of Rage 4 more than Turtles.
I think
It's
that
like
because
it
they're
didn't
right.
rip
Because
apart.
it's an actual game that you
DLC
can't
was
just baby your way
finally
through.
Interesting. I mean, we beat Streets of Rage 4 the first time we played it the same way as TMNT. I did better than you on both of them, but that's besides the point. And don't
Fine.
say it's
I
because
need
of
to play.
Max.
I need to play. If anything, I will say that I want to play Shredder's Revenge multiplayer. That's one of my regrets last year. I only played it single player, and I kind of want to play with
You didn't play multiplayer? Oh, that's where it's even more fun.
Well, the problem is that I have it on PlayStation. No one else has it on PlayStation, so
But no, this is a game where,
Switch or something.
as
I
you
don't know
said,
what
it should
is.
be on more lists. It makes sense. I don't know what the fuck Ollie Ollie World is.
No idea. Never heard of it.
Oh, geez, I don't know much about it either in terms of like. I know it's like a sequel to Ollie Ollie and Ollie Ollie 2. Those games.
Oh, thank
you know,
that
been-
helps.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I mean,
game.
I know of them. I just don't know really. It's like a.
It's a skateboarding
I think it's
game,
like like an endless runner game, only when you're like skating essentially.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know. So
Okay, that sounds fun.
And apparently it's been getting a lot of good reviews. I don't know. Again, I don't want to say a lot of stuff out of my butt that I don't 100% know, but
I've done that for 192 episodes. Well, what's the problem?
Okay, well, apparently it's like as detailed as Tony Hawk Pro Skater wanted. I don't know. I don't want to say stuff I'm not 100% sure of, but it's been getting good reviews, and if it's an honorable mention, I think that's fair. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Well, this game too, Cult of Lamb. I've heard of it. I don't.
It
know
was
what
like the
fuck's
Twitch
it about.
talk of the town for like a long time. Like,
Yeah.
apparently you get to like vote on Twitch, and then stuff happen in the game that alters the game in some fashion, and you can join other people's cults, and it's kind of like a fusion between a roguelike game, like Hades or any of those kind of games, with a farming game, like when you get to like cultivate some kind of a farm for like a demonic deity or something.
Yeah, I'm looking. I was gonna say it looks like a farming simulator.
Kinda. It's an odd combination. Actually, speaking of like things I don't usually play, farming games is like also one of those games. Like, sorry to all of you Stardew Valley fans, it's just never been my cup of tea. But
Not my thing.
it was the talk of the town. It's kind of like how like 2 years ago was Among Us or Fall Guys. This year it was Cult of the Lamb. So good for it for doing well, I suppose.
Okay. The next one you mentioned earlier, Blade, Pentiment. It's a game I do want to play. We were talking with Pam from Cannot Be Tamed, and
Yeah, she liked it.
Point and Drink Adventures. I
we go.
know. I mean, here's the deal. The art style looks interesting. From what I saw, it's one of those games where it'll probably last with you longer than some of the other choices on this list if you actually play it and enjoy it.
Like the story's gonna stick for longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like Spiritfarer or something like that.
Yeah. Next one, King of Fighters 15. I didn't even realize they were still doing games, to be honest.
Yeah, no, King of Fighters comes out like every 2 years now at this point, something like that.
It's been kind of a quiet year for fighting games in a way. Like there was that, and there was that game called DNF Duel, which is based on like Dungeon Fighter Online, which is a Korean MMO game. So they took characters from that MMO and they made a fighting game, which I think that ArcSys also helped a little bit with like some of the. I don't think they actually had a hand in the game, but the art of that game is very ArcSys, like Guilty Gear Strive and that Dragon Ball Z game that came out a few years back. So it's a very like visually beautiful looking game. So it was mostly like those two, like that and King of Fighters, but none of them really like made an impact, which is funny because at the Game Awards, I think that Multiverse actually won Best Fighting, and I'm like, does anyone still talk about multiverses anymore? Like,
Yeah,
I
not
don't
really.
Yeah, I don't. Not to say the game is bad, but I think like the 15 minutes of fame kind of like ended essentially.
Fizzled real quick. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's more than most Smash clones get, so, yeah.
Yeah, next
I
listed
even
here
heard,
is
like-
honorable. So
Yeah, but I think like even the Nickelodeon game that came out the year before got more like press than that Multiverses game, which is crazy.
Yeah, but it got a lot more. I mean, it got more press. I think it got about as much beforehand, but then afterward it had more because it was kind of a disaster. So,
Well, I mean, the fact they had to add like the voice acting post release was kind of unfortunate.
yeah.
They
no,
added
I
it at least for free, which is nice, but still.
I mean, next year you're gonna have Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6. Like you're gonna have some big boys.
Street Fighter and Tekken are back.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big year for fighting games.
Ooh,
Yeah.
especially for me in Tekken. Oh, I missed a good Tekken.
Yeah. Well, that's what Jim and I were just talking about. Is like how going back, like Tekken has always been my favorite 3D fighter. And
Me too.
I don't know which one to like. I want to get back into it, and I'm like, do I just wait for 8 now at this point? Like, do I dive into a 7? Like, I don't know. It's tough.
I mean, why not? 7 is still good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's not. I haven't ever played a bad Tekken game.
Well, I mean, I can challenge that.
You could. Doesn't mean I've played it.
Tekken 1, probably.
Hey, it walks so everything else could run.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. I can say Tekken 6, maybe, then, in that case.
I thought 6 was fine. I know people shit on it, but I thought 6 was fine.
More like Tekken sucks.
Damn it.
Oh, yeah, because I'm the first person to make that specific remark.
Yeah, right. I'm sure that wasn't beaten into death.
Yeah.
by
Anyway,
the way-
let's go.
But next up,
forward.
Teardown, never heard of it.
Yeah. What is it? I'm looking it up now. It's a game about demolition.
I don't
It's
know.
fun.
Actually, the next couple of games I actually don't know much about, if I'm being honest. So.
Yeah, know nothing. I know nothing about the Entropy Center.
No idea.
Yeah, I never heard of any of them. So, like other top games of the year, I haven't heard of those two in particular.
Were
So.
any of these in other lists, Jim?
I think Gertzman had a couple of these on here, these real random ones. So, but besides that, I don't remember seeing a lot of these on there.
That's our Jeff.
I'm so artsy.
Then you got Pokemon.
Arceus or Arceus, however you say it.
This is the one with the real shit show performance, right?
No,
Are
that
you
was
really
Violet.
gonna skip Pokemon without letting me having my time to talk about Pokemon? Like that's the one time I get to have a soapbox.
I mean, Pokemon sucks.
But actually, before Blade gets into his, like when we talked to Thought Cops last time, like they were both playing it, and they were like, "Yeah, this is
They
really
were
good."
saying
Yeah.
how much they like it. Yeah.
Boing boing.
Blade?
So what's your takeaway from it?
Yeah, let me talk. It's funny because this is the first year I think we had two Pokemon games with both Arceus and Scarlet and Violet coming out. I mean, there's not really much to talk about Scarlet and Violet in terms of like it's another like Pokemon installment, just open world. I want to talk about Arceus more and kind of like talk why that game in particular reached the zeitgeist of like people who don't like Pokemon as much to finally try Pokemon for the first time. It's Monster Hunter. It's essentially Monster Hunter with a Pokemon paint job, essentially. The idea of why Pokemon Arceus, why that game is so like popular, is the fact that the menu system is very similar to Monster Hunter, and the idea is that you essentially have to like sneak around and find like a good way to like throw a Pokeball at a Pokemon and just catch them. And I think that's kind of like the thrill of the hunt, which is why games like Monster Hunter were so popular. That's why I think Arceus has become very popular, which I think also added to why Scarlet and Violet, with all of its like spectacular graphical issues, also managed to sell pretty well. I mean, I know I was saying earlier like this is my soapbox about Pokemon, but even with two games, I mean, at this point, if you like Pokemon, you'll be on board. If you're not, I doubt there's gonna be much to change that. But I think that I'll give Arceus this. I think if you do want to get into Pokemon, I think it's a really good entry point because it doesn't play like a traditional RPG in a way, and maybe if you always like those like open zone action games like Monster Hunter, you might enjoy it.
What I've heard from a lot of people, especially like the Pokemon fans, is like they really like the direction that Arceus went in, and then when Violet came out and it was back to like basics, they're all just like, eh.
It's just funny. I'm the opposite. I actually really miss the traditional battles of Scarlet and Violet because the one thing I hate about Arceus is that the turn-based combat kind of sucks. Like, it doesn't really give you a lot of like combat opportunity, and it's just not fun. I prefer the combat mechanics of the mainline games. So Violet gave me that, which essentially kind of makes my one complaint against Arceus kind of moot at that point. And yeah, there's some quality of life stuff that Arceus has that Violet doesn't have, which doesn't make sense. I kind of wish that it would evolve, the same time, but poor Game Freak. They told them to make 2 games in a year. Like, that's nuts.
For real,
Like,
that's fucking Sonic Team right there. That's what they're turning into.
I mean, to be fair to Sonic Team, it's been 5 years since Sonic Forces. Like, they had a lot of time to work.
Oh no, I'm talking mid-2000s Sonic Team.
No, yeah, but I'm talking about like nowadays. Like, they had time to work on Frontier, and no complaints to Frontier. It's like, well, they had the time. I mean, there's probably some other things that we don't know from the outside. Maybe they had some difficulty in development, but with Pokemon is like people complain about like all those issues, and I think they're very valid issues, but they shouldn't like stretched Game Freak so thin. I feel bad for those people.
Yeah, not for real. So would you say like the perfect Pokemon game at this point would be like the world and hunting of Arceus with like the actual battles of the traditional?
I think for me, if I had to like divide it, I would say it's like 80% of Violet and like 20% of Arceus is what I would call like the perfect Pokemon game in terms of like.
Okay. I did
Like,
hear from a
I
lot of
would
people
make
that they're like Violet and Crystal, even with all their problems, is like it's the best one. That's what I've heard from a lot of people.
I'm seeing more and more people like like once they start playing, because here's the thing about Pokemon Violet that makes that game work, is that once you get to the tutorial portion, which is like admittedly like it's 2 hours, but it's still much shorter than other Pokemon games like tutorial, which is, again, I will agree. I will agree. That's the worst part about Pokemon nowadays is like, Hello, young trainer. Welcome to Pokemon. Let me teach you about how to throw a ball. Here is a Pokeball. The Pokeball allows you to capture... You don't want to sit through this crap and just want to move on.
Yeah.
So once Violet is done with this crap, the game is like, okay, here is the Paldea region, like the island you get to explore. Go nuts. And they let you go nuts. You can go wherever you want, do whatever task you want to do. And yeah, sure, there's some areas that Pokemon are stronger, so you're not recommended to go everywhere, like in Elden Ring, for example. But it's still like the open world Pokemon game that was not promised, but people wanted for so many years. And for the most part, in terms of the gameplay, not technical performance, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean...
Brian with the gripping commentary. Yep.
Here's the deal.
I mean, I know you're not a Pokemon fan.
I mean,
but at least
he's
I hope
never
you
played
understand
Pokemon,
where I'm
so,
coming
yeah.
from.
No, but I get the grind and the enjoyment of it all. If it's still gripping you after however many entries this is at this point,
Which is crazy, yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's impressive that it's still bringing you back. So
I mean, I think that's actually like a good example of like, I kind of want to compare something with Pokemon to like Vampire Survivor. Like, the whole reason why you play that game is you just want to get like a new item. You want to keep like going more and more. And that's kind of like how it was with me, like with Pokemon, and like, you know, finding like those shiny variants of those particular creatures that I don't want to stop. I want to keep getting like a new rare Pokemon. And it's kind of like the same thing, you know, the Vampire Survivor does and a lot of other games do. So it's kind of like how I mentioned, like, you know, keep sticking with Pokemon because they always give me like something new and
new
exciting to like
Yep.
find.
They invented the I mean, I think they perfected and invented the idea of like
yeah.
collecting in a game. So
I mean, they were not the first, but they definitely like popularized it.
yeah, it's like Resident Evil being survival horror. It wasn't the first, but it popularized it.
Yeah, I think the person who originally wrote Resident Evil was probably like by themselves in a very like, you know, not very lit room, so you can see he was alone in the dark.
I knew where you were going, you son of a bitch. It's you know what? Here's what I will say for sure. I think this year has been way better of a gaming year than 2021, considering the game of the year that year was It Takes Two, which I still have not played and won't.
That's a game you two should play, if anything. I can just imagine like all the quarrels and like arguments. It's gonna be the
No, stop fucking up.
Get on the fucking box. No, this way. This way.
You know what it's like to play well? Do fucking that.
No, but I think it was a good year in gaming. I do like that. You know, this list was unique in some spots, but I think we knew what was going to be the top ones of this.
Yeah.
There are a couple of these on my list for this year to play through. I know it's the same for both you guys.
Yep.
Can I touch on a few stuff that hasn't actually even appeared in their like honorable mention stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna do like a quick like lightning round of those. Sifu. I don't know how many of you actually know about Sifu, but
yeah.
Sifu is basically like, you know, like it is a beat 'em up, and I know you folks like beat 'em up a lot. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the best beat 'em ups I've played in a long time. I mean, I'll probably say since Streets of Rage 4, just to make Jim happy at least. But Sifu, like the whole idea of Sifu is that it is kind of like a roguelite beat 'em up in a sense. The idea is that every time you die, you essentially get older, and the idea is that you can only die so many times before you actually go past age 80, and then you die for good. So the whole idea is that you have to essentially like survive this gauntlet of enemies and not die and stay young while you try to exact revenge against the guy who essentially killed your entire family. So it has that like, you know, that kung fu style, like, you know, storytelling. It is like kung fu action game. If you always enjoy like those martial art films, like The Raid. If you enjoy The Raid, for example, it's essentially like a playable version of that. Sifu not being mentioned in that list is kind of crazy because, man, Sifu is really fun. If you like beat-em-ups, and I know you two do, highly check out Sifu. I think the other game that I think is a crime that's not being mentioned as much because of God of War and Elden Ring is Horizon Forbidden West.
That whole series has the worst
shocked.
timing in the world.
I feel so bad for Guerrilla Games because why do you release your game a week before? I mean, I know it's on them. I know it's like Sony and then end up making the call, but why release it, you know, a week before Elden Ring? And the last one was like, what, a few days before Zelda? Why would you
Breath
do
of the Wild,
that?
yeah. It was always like a week before, and everyone's like, man, this is really good. And then the new game comes, and everyone's like, oh, I'm never touching this again.
Exactly. Most people actually probably never finish Horizon because Elden Ring essentially took most of that time, and that's kind of like the problem. And here's the thing about Horizon. It's a fantastic game that pretty much builds upon everything the original did. It looks better. I mean, which is kind of crazy to think because the original Horizon is a beautiful game too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe like the story doesn't reach like the same heights of God of War, or maybe the open world is not as engaging as Elden Ring, so maybe it doesn't reach those calibers. But in any other year, without those two games, it could have been a game of the year. Like maybe if it came out in 2021, it could have been game of the year. That's the thing, and
maybe they showed more boob. Who knows? Who knows?
They've done their best, okay? They've done what they could. Other things I can think about that came out, man, this year's... Well, let's talk about Sonic Frontier. No, I'm kidding. That's not... No. Gran Turismo 7 came out last year, which is crazy because that's been in development for a long time, and I thought that Gran Turismo 7 would get more nods because, you know, of like how Forza Horizon came out like last year, and everyone talking about Forza Horizon 5, and I was like, well, Gran Turismo is going to come out. I wonder if that's going to be...
No one talked about
Didn't
Gran
hear
Turismo.
shit about it. Yeah.
No one talked about Gran Turismo 7, which is crazy. Gee, what else came out that's really... Live Alive, the remake for that old Super Nintendo game. That's another one that's also been pretty popular.
Yeah.
They took essentially like, you know, like a Japanese-only Super Famicom game, and they brought it to the West, you know, clean up the graphics, make it like HD, and apparently it also has like extra story at the end to make the epilogue a bit more epic. So I've heard, and I heard that game is really good. I think those are the ones that really like call out to me right now. There's probably gonna be some stuff I'm gonna forget later. I'm gonna be like, damn it, but
Yeah.
I actually really loved Final Vendetta, but when it first released, I heard that like pre-patch, like it was kind of like too hard for its own good, and everyone kind of hated it. So like I only played it after that patch, and I was like, man, this is fucking fantastic.
Right.
So it's a shame that like no one gave it a chance because it's like original launch. Like I mean, it was a small game as is, for as far as like promotion goes, but like if you like beat 'em ups, that's one I couldn't recommend any higher.
I like beat 'em ups. I heard some more technical beat 'em ups, so it's a bit like harder than most to like really get the system going, but I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's really good. No, it's definitely not easy. Like that's my only complaint. That's my biggest complaint with Shredder's Revenge is it's too easy. But like if you want more of a challenge, like definitely fucking hit up Final Vendetta.
Well, I mean, I guess you have a variant for like a hard one and an easy one, so
yeah, true.
That's
I mean,
good
yeah,
to
there's a place for the easy ones. Like I did like Shredder's Revenge a lot. Like I really did enjoy it.
The fact we're talking about like a Ninja Turtles game in 2022 was like a contender for Game of the Year. That's a miracle right there. Like I never expected that day to happen. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a 16-bit throwback to Turtles game at that. Yeah.
That's apparently also one more game I forgot. I just remembered was a Plague's Tale, which is also it was nominated for Game of the Year.
I haven't been able to play it yet. Yeah, I love it.
It was nominated, but no one talks about. It's funny because it was nominated for Game of the Year, but no one talked about it. Even in top 10s, I barely see it mentioned anywhere.
Yeah, was that shown in any of the
It was in a couple of them. It was in a few.
But probably like the 6 to 10s, I would imagine.
It wasn't like in the tops. Yeah.
I don't know, like it's not really like my kind of game because I don't really like super depressing games. I mean, going through like The Last of Us Part 2 was like enough for me from like a psychological standpoint, but maybe you would enjoy it more because you like the more like horror aesthetic, I guess. Like
I finally played the first one.
Of like I don't know.
I finally played the first one this past year on Brian's recommendation. I absolutely fucking loved it. So it was great.
And I heard Requiem is essentially a better version of Innocence. So.
That's what I've heard too.
I haven't played. That's another one. It's already downloaded, ready to boot up. I'll play it. The first one, it hit me in a way I was like, wow, I haven't cared about a story or characters in a game like I have with this, and the music was really well done. So yeah, I'm shocked too. I don't know how that's not on anyone's list.
Forgot one more thing. There we go. I told you. I told you I'm gonna forget something, and I remember it later. Tunic.
That was on a lot of lists. That made a lot of lists.
That's another game I'm surprised, that wasn't in the list, but that's... I need to play it too. I actually don't know much. It just, I know that it's like a Zelda-esque, isometric, like, adventure game. What I know about it for sure is the fact that in order to know what to do, you have to use like an old school like video game manual that kind of like shows you like illustrations of how some of the tools work. But it's not written in English, so you kind of have to like make sense of like what the manual actually means just by the illustrations on the manual. Because all the game is like written in this like like cryptic like ancient language that you have to like decipher in a way. But I heard like from a lot of people, everyone who played Tunic loved Tunic. So
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
like I haven't heard like a lot of like negative things about Tunic, which says a lot. So it's been a really good year for indies.
Sounds like a lot of work though for a game. I'm not gonna lie.
Probably less work than something like Xenoblade 3 that you really have to dedicate like 100 hours for just the main story without any side quests.
Ugh.
Yeah,
or like Persona 5 and shit like that. Yeah.
Like imagine if you had a game and you had to finish it 10 times.
Yeah, just imagine. And just imagine in those 10 times that if you fuck up, you can't just reload a level and try it again. But you would have to quit your entire run and redo it. Or play through the entire run and finish it off and then go back and try again.
What if you had a game that every time you clicked on an option, you heard the sound of a gunshot?
Jim, are you saying you just need to get good?
Yes. Yes. Imagine a game where you have to kill 45 enemies, but the enemies aren't always there, and you have to like go back to old checkpoints in the level and hope that they pop in, and do it a few times, because sometimes it just doesn't fucking happen, and then other times it does.
Don't forget, the main bad guy is freaking Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
Delightful.
Shadow, be a bad guy like me. You cannot do that voice.
Fucking dark. Oh, God. All right, no more Shadow. Wrap this up.
Yep. So yeah, no, Blade, we always appreciate you coming on, wrapping up the previous year with us. Once again, please, if you haven't already, check out all of his links below. Check him out on Twitch. He's going to have new content out on YouTube this year, so make sure you click and hit subscribe.
Yeah, he's honestly one of our favorite people, so definitely check him out. Give him some love.
Yeah. So with that, everyone,
you're
we
mine.
want to say thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you watching. Hope to have another great year with y'all. And if you haven't already, hit notifications for us. And if you're listening, make sure you hit subscribe. If you give us a 5-star rating, even if you want to bash us, we will read any of those comments during the episode. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers,
Take care, everyone.